All right, all right, all right. I don't know what was up with that music. I don't know what I accidentally pressed the wrong music button. So how y'all doing tonight? My name is 12 Gauge and this is my channel 12 Gauge Investigative. I hope you guys have had a wonderful Tuesday. I thought I'd get on here with a guest tonight and have a chance to kind of pick his brain a little bit. He's been the talk of the town lately, so I thought I'd be the first to get an exclusive live breaking interview with the one and only Jeff H.
Jeff H.
Yes, 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 yes.
How's
So
it
how's
going,
it going,
12?
buddy?
Man, look at the hairs all over the place.
Man,
It's going good. Going good.
that's a different picture than what I saw of you earlier.
What's that?
I saw a picture of you earlier. You look a little
Oh, you
more,
mean
more guitarist.
Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, this has been an interesting month, hasn't it?
Man,
I'm telling you. When you keep your mouth shut on stuff, it stays pretty quiet. But if you like gently open your mouth and say an opinion,
yeah,
bam.
I thought about I thought about inviting Sergeant Friday up, but I haven't really been able to get in touch with him. He's a busy man these days.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time. I mean, I know he doesn't like to see me anyway, so that's it's probably he's probably fine with that.
Man, Jeff. So let me say hi to the one person in chat, just like the old days, just like the old
What's
days.
up, Rondi?
I think everybody is over there probably watching AR and Unfiltered Lucky. They're on a live
Oh,
right now.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something about
So
that.
the crowd is probably over there. But anyways, Jeff, I wanted to
Yeah,
bring
hold on.
you
Let
up.
me go over there. I'm gonna check that out. I'll be back later.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know how it's going. I was in there for a little bit, then I left.
Yeah.
Um, I brought you over here, Jeff, because I have some questions for you,
Okay.
and it seems like you've been getting a pretty bad rap lately. What's going on, buddy?
Well, which one did you see most recently?
Well,
The
I saw
one the
one
one from Bubbly.
today. Yeah, I saw one today with Bubbly. So I
Yeah.
wasn't certain what that was all about. All I know is that she was pretty heated. So I
Yeah, we
was,
were actually on the way. We picked up my daughter from work just a few minutes ago. We're driving back, and I was letting my wife watch some of Bubbly's video, and I was showing her. I was like, "Look, there's my comment on the screen that this woman has gotten so twisted about." And what did I say in the comment? When I was in a band in high school, we'd get loud. Police would come to the door, say, "You guys are loud," and we'd say, "We're sorry." It really is it. Okay, and I was trying to figure out. It's like, okay, what in that is like? Is there some secret code that what I said translates into something that is like worthy of an hour long, video about getting all worked up about? Even upset her cat. Apparently, I mean, gosh.
well, let's take that back a little bit. I mean, because she was showing, I think I watched one of her videos, and she was also quite upset with another creator because it seems like she was saying that he stole something that she did a year ago, and he's referring to it, and things like that.
Hmm.
Was she referring to something that you might have stolen or
No,
used of
I don't think
her?
that was me. I think maybe that was. Is that what's his name? Pavarotti, maybe. I know.
Oh,
I know he was. I know he was mentioned in that same video, but I'm not. I um, didn't really
yeah,
follow it
she
all
was
that
she
that
was
closely.
pretty upset about that as well. So I was just wondering if it was had something to do with content. I mean, because the last content that I really remember, being played that you had anything to do with other than the one you put out the other day was the one with the difference mode on 1320. Hey Justine,
Right,
how you?
right. And that was just kind of a test. Remember, we were just gonna show that because that's the first time I'd ever taken a video and then put another video right side by side. So it was kind of extra long, wide, widthwise. And I wasn't sure
Yeah.
how YouTube would handle it. I didn't know if it would force it to fit into a 1920 by 1080 frame, and it actually just it did it. I mean, that's 1920. I think those were both 1920. 1920 times two wide, and it worked. So that was a test just to see if it would work. Now I know Bubbly criticized it very much, saying, "Oh, you did the wrong time of the Linda Lane." It's like, well, that was just a test, just to.
Right,
I was kind
right.
I was kind of thinking of doing the rest of the footage that there is for the 1320 camera. Thank you, Justine. I appreciate that. Or is it Justin? Justine. I think it's Justine.
I
What
was
do we have to?
wondering also because she had. I'm just going to ask the hard question, Jeff.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
she also said that you were kind of reluctant to do the 1330 in difference mode. Did she had asked you about that or
No,
something?
no, no. The Banfield.
Oh, the Banfield. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. She has asked multiple times, and I've told her every time that it can't be done because the way it works is you have to have a camera that does not move at all. That's the only way it works. It's a um, actually I probably while we're doing this, I could bring up Adobe Premiere, probably come up with an example to show you how it works.
Well,
But
I was gonna bring up your latest video, but let's keep doing the interview because I mean there's a lot of questions that it appears to be you're the most misunderstood man, or people just do not really understand where you're coming from, and they take it to heart whatever you say in the comments or things like that. So I want to
right,
make sure that you are given the opportunity to be able to speak, just like other people have the opportunity to speak. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, it's awful that we have to resort to making, I call them diss tracks,
You call them
and
what? Dis what?
diss tracks, like
Oh, diss
when
tracks.
rappers go against each other, they put out diss tracks, and they never get
Oh,
with the
gotcha. Okay.
person. They never get with the person who they have a misunderstanding with, but they let the whole world know it. And I would believe that if I had a problem with somebody that bad, that I would get with the person rather than put out a video. But to make it fair as well, I'm going to ask you about a video that you put out as well, just to get some clarity. Okay. So
Right.
I'm kind of putting you on the hot seat tonight, but I wanted to do that just to give you the opportunity to let people know your true intent rather than all the maliciousness that's been said about you.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because the most recent video I posted. Now, let me put it this way: the video that Bubbly did where she was so upset, she seemed to pull up a comment. Like I said, all I said in the comment was that when I was in high school, we played loud. The police would come, tell us to turn it down. It seems like a nothing burger, if it's okay if I
Yeah,
can say
nothing
that.
better. Yeah.
Not trying to get to the other kind of burger, but just it's nothing. And that's what she appears to be upset about. What I think she's actually upset about, though, is the most recent video I did where I took the Banfield, or not the body cam um, of what was it? October? No, August, August 16th, 2022, where the police officers went and talked to Kaylee on the back of the house, and they went over to 1127 King first to talk to those guys. Um, anyway, long story short, I think the thing that she's upset about is in the lower right corner. I don't know if anybody even noticed it, but in the lower right corner of the video, I just had to put it there. It says, "Bubbly, please, if you use this synced audio footage I've done here, please use it responsibly." And then in parentheses, I think I said, "if that's even possible." So it was a
Oh,
little
okay.
jab, right? A little jab. But
Yeah.
did I say she couldn't use the footage? Did I say I do not use this footage? Did I say if I see you use this footage, I'm gonna, complain? No. And look, Justine said she never even noticed it, but I'm almost positive that's what she's upset about, and mainly too because she had a video, I guess a couple days ago, showing the Banfield. Again, I said Banfield, the body cam of these officers. She was saying, now, if you listen closely, they cut out audio. That's where they're trying to hide stuff. So I thought, okay, I had started to sync the audio up like almost a year ago, probably. I just
Okay.
pulled up the old project, and I just continued working on it. I was just gonna do full screen, body camera one, let it run through, fix the audio sync. Then body camera two, full screen, just like it is now. You'd watch the whole thing, one and then the other, but the audio was fixed. Um,
So do
that's
you
what I struck.
believe there was a misunderstanding, or do you believe that it honestly, because she had mentioned in that video how you have tried to convert her. I don't know, convert her to what, but she mentioned you trying to convert her
It's all
over.
those times I said, "The power of Christ compels you. The power
Oh,
of Christ compels." No,
well, I don't know. I
doing
don't
an
know. I'm just
exorcism.
going on her words, okay? She said you tried to convert her over and you're not going to do it, quote unquote. So I was wondering, well, do y'all have conversations? Have y'all been friends before? Have y'all had conversations, maybe in Discord or something like that, where we're not prevalent to those conversations? So maybe behind the scenes, you're trying to convert, Bubbly to the other side, or I don't know.
Right,
Hey,
right. Yeah,
Baywatcher.
no. No, there's never been anything like that. I mean, when I first did the difference mode, it was one of those, oh, she felt she clearly could make use of that, and she did. And I think she would say thanks for that footage, and she would put my name on the screen, and that's about the only real conversations we ever had was just her saying, this footage is from Jeff H. That's
Okay.
about it. That's about it.
I mean,
But then
because it seemed like there was a lot of animosity there for whatever reason, and I
well,
don't
she doesn't like the
know,
comments that I leave. I do go. I do go. I think the thing too is that I think she can't figure out, and I can't figure it out either. She said she's blocked me, but my comments are still going up there on
right?
her videos. That's all I'm doing. Last I checked, I don't think there's a law against just somebody does a video, you leave a comment, and I don't leave comments that you will never find a comment from me that goes into any type of flavor of what she did to me in the video. I'm a liar because and I must have internal issues, health issues because as a result. I'm like, really? Um, what else?
Yeah,
Oh,
that you're stressed out, that you're stressed out, and you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
sleep.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I look stressed, let me know because I last
Mhm.
time I felt stressed, I think was I can't remember, but if the what was the other thing? Oh, she's like, oh, when you're playing your guitar or you're filling your guitar with bricks of drugs and stuff. And me and my wife was listening to that. It's like, I was waiting for my wife. My wife likes to when people are poking at me because I mean she pokes at me too. But but I thought that's going to get a reaction. It's like, come on, do you realize she just accused me of being a drug dealer right there? Um,
Yeah. So
and but
Rondi has a question. She asks, I would like to ask why you keep going in her chat.
well, she never really has a chat. I mean, oh, well, you must mean just the comment section
The
of her
comments,
videos.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then it's like, okay, I'm going to give her video a try. I've even told her, I said, maybe one of these days I'll subscribe to you if it just doesn't, when I watch a video, doesn't make me go, oh my gosh, oh geez, and I just can't seem to get past. There's so much stuff. But when I see something like her saying that the audio is off because of nefarious reasons, and then I go look at the footage, and I was like, oh, you can tell the audio is off because when I've never seen this actually on a body cam footage before. That whoever did this just didn't must not know what they were doing. They, of course, they're going to cut out the sound where a person says their birth date, when you were born and all that kind of stuff. They're going to cut that sound out, but the audio and the video are going to stay in sync with each other. For some reason, with these two body cams, when they cut out the audio, they cut it out and then it would slide it out of sync with the video, and so
So
every
Jeff, would
time.
you see yourself as a narcissist?
I'm not even sure what a narcissist is, other than, is that somebody who's full of themselves? I think.
Well, according to the thumbnail, you're never wrong,
No, I can be
or you're
wrong.
always right. Well, to be fair, Rondi, I mean, I'm going to answer this for myself. I can't answer for Jeff. I went into another creator's because, sometimes you get bored. There's nothing on you. You've followed this creator before and you're like, well, let me go listen to what they got to say. And you're listening to it and then you're commenting. I even commented strictly to the creator. I said, no disrespect, but this is what I believe and blah, 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 blah. And after that, I got attacked. And even by the creator himself, talking about, well, I would never go into your comment section and start drama and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so you're saying that you're wanting to alienate your subs to strictly stay over here with you. And if anybody wants to come view your stuff and they don't believe the same way you believe, then they're not allowed to be here or they're not allowed to voice their opinion if it goes against what the comments are going by. I mean, I don't know. I told him, I said, well, maybe this is not my crowd, and I'll go back to my channel. I'll just go over here where I'm going to
Right,
stay over
right.
here.
I mean, there have
You
been
know,
times where we were talking about, like, the camera at 712. We were having discussions about the camera and trying to figure out the whole apartment 52. We weren't seeing perfectly eye to eye on things, and you know what? The world didn't end. We don't hate each other. We're not we're not at each other's throats. We're not calling each other stupid or anything like that. Um,
I mean,
that's like,
to be honest as well, as adults, we should be able to ask questions for clarity reasons, not to be asking these questions with the other person thinking that you're just trying to trap them in the question. And I believe
right,
that's
right,
what a lot of it is when you ask a question for clarity, you really are asking that question for clarity. But the individual, for some reason, has had to answer those types of questions so much, they feel attacked by one more question, doubting their sincerity or their work or whatever it might be. Would that be fair to
yeah, no,
assume?
I could see that. I could see that. But I mean, I think it also too, when your claims that you're making are very fantastic, and Moscow police are being accused of, if not doing the crime, moving drugs, doing all kinds of nefarious stuff. Well, if you're going to make claims like that, then you ought to be able to receive questions about it. Um,
Yeah.
and because I think, I mean, I'm not out here making crazy. Well, I don't want to say crazy because then they're going to say, oh, I think he referred to me when he said crazy. No, I'm not making out fantastic claims. If I did, and if I do, and if you got a question about it, that's fine. Just ask. There's nothing that, like I was thinking about this whole thing. I did a 51-second video about Tommy, where I as gently as I could, called BS on him by using a little kid saying "ah bullshit." Right? How much
Mhm.
more gently can you say, nudge somebody, say, hey, come on, man, urinating on his face. His family can watch this video. He's gone. He's not coming back. The one that you worship and think is awesome and wonderful and is not guilty in any possible way, his heart is still beating. There's still a chance. How about let the guy who's in the ground or however he was, you know, let him rest and don't,
So
especially if
what makes you believe that they get so heated about your comment whenever you, because I can see you typing that out. I can see you typing that out.
Mhm.
What makes you believe that what makes them so heated by that question? You believe?
I mean, I think that they don't like to.
Hey, Cash.
I can only imagine that they like to be in a room full of people that just all agree. I wonder sometimes. I don't think there is, but I wonder sometimes. Is there like an element of fear? Do they have people that are possibly in there? They're like, oh gosh, I don't agree with that, but I ain't gonna say nothing. Um, I hope it's not like that. And I hope and often it's funny because often they say, hey, we're open to conversation. We'll talk about anything. But the moment you do, and the moment you go against I mean, I hardly ever raise my voice or yell, but I can't imagine. Well,
So
people are
have you
different.
been
People are
blocked
different.
from all these channels that we're speaking of right now?
I sure hope
Have you
so this
been
time.
blocked from Bubbly, Tommy?
Well,
I
I know
don't know.
Bubbly blocks me and can't even see me in chats.
Okay.
Like on Kane B, I think I'm blocked on Kane B now though because of I upset Bubbly. So Kane B is now, you cannot do that, and that is I don't even know. I was in there last night in a chat. This morning I wake up, I go, hey, how's everybody? I'm blocked. It's like, what happened overnight? I went to sleep and woke up, and things have changed here. I can only
I
assume.
don't understand I don't understand the cliquish nature of YouTube true crime community. I don't understand it. You know,
What's
you
it?
do the same, Rondi. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
It
Have a
feels
good
so
night at
much
work.
like it's just like middle school. It's like you're on the playground. It's like, you know what? If you want to be friends with us, you can't be friends with them over there. It's like, okay, I won't talk to them. I won't be their friend. You know. And then what do you do when you run into them? Those other people on the bus, and it's just you and them. And it's like, I know that must run through your mind. It's like, this is just silly. I should be able to be friends with everybody and should be able to. Oh, but who was asking? Was it Rondi that was asking why do I go into the
Yes.
rooms? I mean, I just find it very compelling to have conversations. Um, Here's the thing. Here's all the things that I'm into: guitar playing and music. Oh wait, I forgot to turn my camera. Guitar playing and music. So me and the guitarist in the band, we can have debates on music theory, how music works. Should that be a flat seven in that song right there, or should it be a major seven that we play because that's technically more correct? But that one sounds better. We're just having conversation, just having debate. We don't agree, don't see eye to eye. We can probably get there if we just have a conversation, or it's fine. We agree to disagree, and I'll see you tomorrow. Still friends.
Well, I believe that as well. You brought up the Tommy. What was it? 51-second video.
The bullshit.
Yeah. Can you kind of give some history behind that video because it was presented that that video was a personal attack because of some kind of inside stuff. Another variation of their own words because I'm quoting them. I watched their channels,
Right.
So it was presented as it was a personal attack due to the fact that you had begged multiple times on email to get back unblocked. And due to them trusting or him trusting you again, you and him had a disagreement on somebody else's page. And I guess he felt that that was your retaliation. Would that be clear to say, yes or no?
No, no, not on both accounts. No.
Okay.
On the last part about the video being a response to, because I think he said it was probably, I think he mentioned Yuri
Hmm.
Crimes live. To be honest, I'm not even. I don't. I remember being in a live with Tommy, and I think we did have a little bit of a disagreement. But he's focusing on that as being the reason for the video. If he only knew that I had made that video like 4 or 5 days prior to when I released it, and I sat there and thought about it and thought about it, and just like, should I release this? Because I mean, when I was on the Detective John show, I left the Detective John show because John was going to start going after YouTubers and their fantastic claims. And but he was also going to get a little personal, and I was like, I can't be a part of that. I'm out. I don't do that. And so it
Right.
wasn't until this is like the first time that it's been presented to me, not presented to me, but I thought about it, and so I had that video. It took like an hour to make, and I would look at it and I was like, man, I know he's not going to be happy when he sees it. So it had nothing to do with the Yuri live stream because the video was already done like 4 or 5 days before that. Regarding the emails, it's funny that he would even mention that because I don't know if you know, but when you have emails with somebody, the person you have the emails with has a copy of the email. So I would
Right.
not have brought up emails because I can show the same emails. I don't. I have emails going back to like 20 years ago. I never delete emails.
Right.
I can search up stuff and find stuff that I need. So here's the thing, though. The reason that he made it sound, he characterized it as I was begging to be unblocked. When they would finally see, like, oh, Jeff's an all right guy, we can let him in. And I'd go into the chat and I'd be like, oh man, my main account, Jeff H, is still blocked. And I thought we had water under the bridge. I thought we were friends now. What's going
Right.
on? And so I'd have to use the other account and I'd say, hey guys, I'm still blocked. And it's like, oh, no problem, Jeff. We'll get that next time. Sorry about that. Can't get it right now, but next time you're on here, it'll be unblocked. And I might send an email saying, "Hey, did you get a chance to unblock me?" Just no begging. That's just
So,
ridiculous.
so what in your opinion? Because I have a strong opinion about all this, and I even wrote a community page on it today. So you know my stance on all this drama.
Hmm.
you know, um, what do you believe as a person who has been put in the limelight of these disagreements? I would call them because I wouldn't call them anything else other than that disagreements. What what would you believe? Is it what you say? Is it how you say it? Or is it your belief behind counteracting what they believe?
Well, I mean, clearly, I'm an irritant to them. I'm trying to think of what another YouTuber called me, a nuisance. I think that's the word she used when she was and a similar thing to Bubbly, because I think I was making some comments and asking some questions in her comment section, and she's like, "Jeff hates you, just a nuisance," and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Well, what's the
set.
context? I mean, are you trying to be a nuisance, or are you just asking generalized clarity questions, or are you putting your spin on your understanding of what they're stating?
Yeah, I mean,
What?
I'd like to think that it's a series of questions as well as sharing what I believe, because a lot of times it has to do with camera stuff and stuff of the way cameras work and like questions or misunderstandings as I see them on what they see on these cameras. And that's a lot of times that's what because the thing is I've been editing videos since I was in high school, and I that's
Yeah.
been my career since high school straight on through. Have never done anything else. I don't know how to do anything else other than shoot video and edit video, which means that I've seen a lot of videos of people on camera, people talking, people, going through and nuancing, like, I did a lot of political stuff. So a candidate doing 20, 30 takes of his line to the camera, and I've got to pick the one that I feel is the best. And they're just
Right.
tiny differences, right? So I mean, I think I have a keen eye. Like the woman who said I was a nuisance, she had claimed that I stole her grub truck video, her footage, and used it. Well, the thing is that her grub truck footage was made by pointing a cell phone camera at the screen. Mine was made from the original clip that came from the Twitch stream of the grub truck. I downloaded the footage and I was able to show. It's like, look, I posted that clip of that footage all the way back in like July of last year, and so it was. There's no way that her video, low quality video, can magically become high quality video when I get my hands on it, and post it on my channel. But man,
Right.
if she and then so many people believed it, how dare you, Jeff? How could you do this? And so, but no, I don't set out to be a nuisance, but I am aware that can be a nuisance. And I tell you what, maybe there is a small part of me that when I'm asking a question, I'm being polite, I'm trying to stay true to my Christian beliefs, and I'm always saying, a soft answer turns away wrath. So if I come to you and I'm just saying questions, it's like, how can that be so? Because this, and this, it really explained to me how that can even work. And then when they get upset at me and then they call me, names, or you're an idiot or what, go F off, okay, maybe I feel like there might be a little bit of, I'm going to ask another question, even though I know it's going to irritate you, but I
Okay.
never, I never, I
So
never
you're
crossed the
poking.
line.
So you're poking the bear. That is that
I,
where the other email names come from? Because we had a comment on that.
no,
Uh,
no, the origin of all those accounts that I have,
yes.
actually, it's a similar kind of thing, but it has nothing to do with Idaho 4. There is a woman that does a YouTube channel. She finds videos of like cameras, say in Antarctica or the National Observatory, and it's at night.
You're
It's
fine.
it's snowing, right, and the water starts to melt, gets on the lens. The lens refracts all the little lights into bended. They bend and look all wild. And so she's telling people that these are aliens or they're plasma from aliens. And I really believe that from the comments I see that she's got some senior citizens and people worried about what these things are. And I'm looking at it, I'm just like, I can replicate that by sprinkling a few drops of water on a camera lens. That's all it is. And when she sees getting senior citizens worked up about this, seeing them give her like $300 super chats, I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. Am I going to sit here and not say anything? And I
Right.
would I would post even little
So do
little
you believe that underneath some of this could be financial gain?
for who? For these people that are
Or
doing this?
yes, the people that have attacked you back.
You know, nobody. What is that? There's an expression like, you don't want to stand in the way of a man's next meal. And like, their
Right.
job is in their financial. So anything you do where you stand in the way of something financial, yeah, some people are going to react. It could be. It could be. I don't know that for sure, so I don't want to claim that that's what it's all about. It could just be pride. It could be, even though they accuse me of wanting to be right, could be very well them wanting to be right. I mean, nobody likes to be
Yeah.
wrong. If I'm
Exactly.
incorrect, if
Exactly.
I'm incorrect about something, I'll say I'm incorrect about something. But the accounts, all those accounts were basically for the same kind of reasoning. I would go in, I would say, look, what you're seeing right there at that time code of that lens, you can see the water actually dripping down the lens first before it gets in front of the light. I try to point out the logic of it. Boom, blocked. It's like, well, shoot. I mean, I could just walk away, go away. My wife would probably say, that's what you should do. Just walk away, go away. That's like, well, let me open up another account. And I figured out how to do another account. And over time, it got easier to do another account. But I did get to the point, and I was like, I'm limiting myself to 10. If I can't um, if I can't have any kind of positive impact on this conversation in 10 accounts and get blocked, then forget it. Now I can walk away.
Well,
Texas Ranger,
I
yep.
can, I can understand, where you're coming from, Jeff, because people have known me for a while now. Even though I'm not a big channel on YouTube, people understand my concept. It's like I'm gonna call it like it is, kind of like you do. I'm just not as nice about it, I guess. You are a nice guy. You do come at it nicely. Maybe that's what the language that they're not accustomed to hearing. Now, if you're cussing and you've done all kinds of crazy stuff, then people would be like, okay, well, we can respect him now because he's down on our level. But what I can tell you,
Right.
Jeff, is I don't believe in the reflections in that Idaho case. I don't see other people in Bubbly's videos that she claims to see. I don't see half the stuff she claims to see. And I will tell her, I will bring her up on panel and tell her right to her face that I don't believe it. I don't see it. Just because other people see it does not make it true, you know? And just because I don't see it does not make it untrue. Because we're able to have an opinion about other people's words. As adults, that's how we communicate. So
Right.
if somebody getting upset because you have an opinion that differs from them, then there has to be an ulterior motive there, or they just have anger problems, or they've been pushed around. You remind them of somebody who they had a bad experience with, and then you are that person to them from here on
Right.
out, whether it be a police officer, whether it be because many people equate you with the law. They call you a cop, they call you a fed, they call you all these names they
It's
have
just
to
because I
refer.
like donuts and coffee. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a real.
I mean, they call you a drug dealer, they call you, all this stuff, but a Christian man.
Hmm.
And the fact that people attack your Christianity it is perturbing to me because when people do that, they're claiming that they're better than you and that you believe should be perfect. So there's no perfect people. So people should expect people to be fallible. Does that make
Well, no,
sense?
it's also I think an attempt to try and push you. It's almost like somebody that's trying to diet and they're going to the gym and they're trying to push you. It's like, come on, you want this chicken? You want this chicken leg? Hey, I got a cheesecake, a cheesecake. So they're trying
Right.
to push you out of what you hold dear and your way of doing things and your way of treating people, and they think that yeah, they think that if they can poke at you back that way with that you're just going to snap and you're going to react just like everybody else in the world. But
Right.
the book that I like says, we are in the world, but we are not of this world, and
I mean,
so I don't believe.
it's getting so bad, YouTube might have to have you fill out a disclaimer before you comment. What are your beliefs on this case? What are your beliefs on this? What are your beliefs on my video? Do you agree with it or disagree with it? I mean, I
It's like
see all other
it's like an
kinds
Ann
of.
Taylor survey.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So and how would you feel when you're a clown and your channel is a joke? Why do you start, Jeff?
Who's charisma talking about? You're not talking
I
about
don't know. I don't
our
know. Are you
friend
talking about my channel?
maybe Strange Suspicion. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know where your comment's coming from, but okay, if you can clarify it, we'll give you
Yeah,
some.
clarify. We'll answer it.
Yeah,
Definitely, we'll try.
we'll give you
But
some.
12 gauge. I appreciate you doing this way because I mean I think these are good questions, and you're really making me think. That's a good friend. That's friends that just tell you what you want to hear and just say, yeah, it's all you haven't this. It's good to think. It's even good to think. Not only about the stuff we're all discussing with the case and the mysteries and everything, but just about
And
yourself and how you
like I've
treat.
said
Mhm.
before, there's nobody perfect on these channels. Nobody. Nobody's material is better than anybody else's, no matter what people's beliefs are. There are some people that are more knowledgeable of certain things, and then there's people that are more street knowledgeable on certain things. It's all needed in order to create dialogue. Without one of these creators clarifying something that maybe another person doesn't get, they'd be lost in the chat. You get what I'm saying? So maybe the questions that you ask the individual they're asking, maybe they really don't, they see you as condescending rather than genuinely asking the question. Because I mean, I've seen you in a lot of chats. I've been in a lot of chats with you. We've been friends for a little bit, and some creators are just they're just who they are. You
Hmm.
know, some creators are just who they are, and they're gonna see all kinds of stuff, and they're gonna hear all kinds of stuff, and God bless them. If at the trial any of that stuff comes to light, you know, then I guess we'll all be eating crow, right? I mean,
Right, right.
if anything is ever found out at the trial that there was fight clubs or that there was tunnels under Queen Road apartment or all this stuff that we've heard for so long now, I will eat a crow online. I will rotisserie that bad boy, and I will show me eating it in front of you. You know
I'm
what
s-
I'm
I'm gonna
saying?
I'm gonna save this live stream and this clip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being honest because you know what? People are free to be who they are. You know, the fact that many people have such a strong opinion about one way versus the other,
Hmm.
I might make a suggestion for those individuals on both sides of the coin. If you want to, if you want the respect to be able to say without the benefit of the doubt that this individual in this one case is innocent, even innocent all the way through the trial, then you should be open minded enough to give the other person on the other side of the coin the same respect.
Hmm.
It doesn't change your opinion just because they think or they verbalize something different. Two people can have a conversation without coming to blows. It should be that easy, especially on
Right.
this platform. It should be that easy on this platform.
Well, I think it's a little bit like road rage. I think the fighting and the anger buildup that happens is because you're inside a car. You feel safe. You feel that you could, if you were really pushed to it, run the other person off the road. Probably runs through a person's mind who has got issues with road rage. What's even safer than being in a car next to another car that's irritating you is being on the internet behind a keyboard, thousands of miles away, perhaps. Yeah, you feel like
Mhm.
empowered to, like, you can say anything you want, and whatever somebody took out at you at the grocery store earlier, you're going to let somebody have it online now. Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, in reality, that video, had they been cussing you out or made the most disrespectful things about you, Jeff, you might be hurt by it, you might be embarrassed by it, but it's safe for me to know that you would still pray for them regardless of the
Yeah,
outcome.
yeah. And the thing is like, if you notice, I mean, I did a 51-second video, resulted in Tommy's hour and 6 minute live trashing me.
Hmm.
Did have I responded to any of that? No.
No.
I mean, is that in the same realm of, kind of forgive him because he knows not what he does, that kind of a thing? I would like to think so. And I would like to think that it's when I see the hurtful stuff, it really doesn't hurt, but it does kind of make you feel sad. It's like, wow. Because I think I would never say that to you or to anybody. I wouldn't say that to my enemies. And we none of us, well, most of us on here, we don't know each other all that well. I mean, I feel like I know you probably more than anybody than that I've know online. So I do feel like you're a true friend, and we've, eventually we'll, get together in the same state or something, and hang out. But
Yeah.
most people, we don't, I don't really know Tommy. I mean, if there's times where Tommy and I were getting along, we were talking guitar, everything was cool. probably because Jeff was just in agreement with everything. There wasn't anything to disagree about, but and others, and I think it happens. But there's a lot of us that do this on a daily basis. We look forward to it. It's kind of like it's. I think it's a great thing. Used to be probably
I
before
mean,
the internet.
it is almost like midday reality TV for some, you know. Hey Scott,
Yeah.
thank you for
Hey,
being here. Thank you for being here, Heather, Charisma, and Chief. Haven't seen you in a while, sir. Cash, and anybody else who I failed the names. Aquarius, I see you. You know, it's like midday TV. You know, middle of the
mm-hmm.
day. You know your favorite talk shows on, or even if it's not your favorite, you're gonna still tune in to see exactly what they're talking about. You might give them 5 minutes, be like, I don't want to hear about this crap. Let me bounce over here, or let me bounce over here, until you're waiting for that one creator who never lets you down, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go there. Finally, they're online, and then you go and chill out there. But while you're in these other chats, you're saying hello, you might have questions about what their thoughts are. I just don't understand how words, I understand they can hurt, and I understand that certain people have past experiences. If I could make a suggestion of anybody who is in thinking about making a channel in the future, make sure all your mental health stuff is in order, because
Yeah.
too much, and I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm not trying to throw shades. Make sure your mental health is capable of handling the stressors that this entails, because it is stressful. You get attacked from a lot of different directions. You get made
Mm-hmm.
fun of. You get people trying to persuade you into their belief system. You get people trying to, you know, discredit you. You get all this stuff.
Right.
And if you're not mentally strong enough to not let your countertransference come into the mix, you're going to start becoming overwhelmed, and you're going to have a breakdown online, just like some people that I've seen. I've seen people have breakdown. They're yelling at the screen, they're doing all this stuff, and you're like, what's wrong with this person? Well, it's kind of like being an angry person. You stuff it and you stuff it and you stuff it, and then one day Jeff H comes in the chat and he says something fly, and I'm gonna let Jeff have it. F you, Jeff, and F this and F that. But maybe it wasn't even Jeff. He was just the last straw.
I was just in proximity.
Right. And I would suggest that to anybody who even thinks about getting a channel. Make sure your mental health stuff is in check. Make sure
Yeah.
that you're able to, once you sign off, you leave it alone. You
Well, you
don't
remember that
stay up.
movie Wreck It Ralph? Did you ever see that movie Wreck It Ralph? I think
Yeah.
it might have been the second one. And Ralph was had become a YouTube sensation, and he went into that room where he saw all the negative comments about him, and then was
Yeah.
crushed. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's some realism, in that scene. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we've seen stories of YouTubers losing it and killing people. We've seen stories of, hell, I was doing a story on the TikToker that lost it mentally, the guy that lost his mind because the fame became more than he could handle, and this and that. Because you start believing that you're something outside of who you really are, and you can't place where one of you begins and the other one ends.
right, right. Yeah,
The
because a
re-
lot of times, I think it's probably wise to try your best to be the same person in front of a camera as you are in the grocery store or just driving in your car. I mean, if you're being somebody that you're not, that's kind of hard to divide your mind like that and be, two different people. I will say I am a different person since when I first started, because I was kind of a shy person to get up on and run my mouth about stuff, to
Really?
to value what I had to say. I thought, oh, this is going to be stupid. I was, very much that shy guy that was like, oh, I have a thought, but I don't think I'll share it. And it's like,
Were you at
you know,
least you're consistent? Because I used to see you on Dago chat, and they'd be trying to run you out of that chat. You
mhm.
know, Jeff H. You can't mistake that name. You're just like you would pop in and ask a question automatically. The whole thing would shift.
Yeah, right. And see, what's great is that if you just persist and you don't attack back, it might take a while, but look, right now, me and Dago get along great. I mean, I enjoy Dago, and I think he sincerely means it when he sees me in the like in the morning chats, morning shows that he did this morning. He's like, "Great to see you, Jeff." I don't doubt that because I know it's great to see him, and it's great to be part of
Right.
his show again. That's where it all started for me. I was, Dago's show. He's talking about the Idaho case. It's like, man, yeah, like I've said, that was the first show I ever called into on the phone. That's when he was doing just phone calls. I don't
Oh,
think he was doing
okay.
people. I don't think he was doing people on panel, or maybe just that day he wasn't. And I remember driving down the road. And I thought, let me call this number, and I shared some thoughts, and I was like, that was pretty cool. Like I can be a contributor to a live show. That's just awesome. So
I
that's where
like
it
that
started.
comment. I like that comment, Toes. It's very insightful. Very insightful.
Yeah, that is
You
good.
know, but once you become comfortable with who you are, you get to that self actualization, that mask falls right off.
And you get to that age where you really just don't give a damn about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just speak without just speak freely. I mean, everybody's going to speak with somewhat of a filter. I mean, I speak
So
with a
let
filter
me
that
ask
keeps
you
me.
before I'm
Hmm.
going to cut you off again. Let me ask
It's
you.
okay.
I'm being one of the pushy reporters right now. Let me ask you before we go any further, Jeff. Is there anything that you'd want to say to Bubbly or to Tommy that you haven't said to them that you've wanted to say?
um Man, I don't know. um Man, you could have warned me about that question. I could have prepared an answer. I mean, the thing is I would say I don't mean to be a nuisance. I try to always be, gentle natured and not harsh, um, with my and brash with my comments. You're never going to hear me use the F word in your direction. You're never going to hear me call you, insult your intelligence, because I think it takes intelligence to come up with some of these theories. Um, but I think there's also I don't know. I just wish that it could be a little bit more. All I really ask is like it seems like we ought to be able to agree to disagree. I always like to say we have a disagreement, we discuss it. We don't come to a resolution, no problem. Hug it out. See you tomorrow. Let's continue it tomorrow. This was fun. Let's do it again. But the thing is like I guess what's happening is I guess I'm the only one that's enjoying it and having fun, and I think that is because maybe it's like, maybe there are some that just don't want to hear opposition. They don't want to hear another opinion. They would rather you just go away and never come back. And I am the type that I just find it more interesting to talk to somebody that has different opinions than just if like I said, we were saying earlier, we have conversations on things that we're not completely eye to eye on. There's so many things we are eye to eye on, and that's great too. But like as a Christian, I would go into rooms with atheists and Satanists and Wiccan, all kinds of beliefs, just because it was interesting conversations. And it also, there's no better way to know what you truly believe yourself than to put it to the test and converse about it.
I went into Tommy's chat one day, and I don't know if I was trying to pick an argument, but I'm not as good at it as you are. Nobody blocked me or attacked me, and I was like, okay, I
And you
guess
were
I'll leave. I guess I'll leave. So
If you want me
I
to block
love
you from
I
my
love
channel, I
Tommy,
can. Just so
man.
you.
I look at Tommy like I've been watching Tommy since he first broke on to YouTube, so that's why when I speak on him, I'm not speaking like a stranger. He doesn't know that I've been watching him all this time, but I've talked to him a couple times, and I've heard his story, and I feel for him. I feel for his story. That's why when I talk about things that he speaks on, I'm trying to figure it all out. You know what I mean? And maybe he's not somebody to be figured out, and that's okay. Just like a lot of YouTubers. You just believe that there's a certain persona, but it's like wrestling. You get off the camera, then you go have a coffee at the Waffle House together and some
Mhm.
pancakes. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we'll
Right.
talk in Discord. On camera, we hate each other, but on off camera, we're gonna go have some coffee and a waffle.
You know what it's like
So
too, though, is that I guess you gotta. Maybe I need to learn to be a little bit more patient with, because like we could be having a conversation and everybody in a chat and we're saying this is a brick. A brick is what's used to make a wall, and a wall can be made into a house. And then somebody comes in the
thank
chat
you,
and says,
Carissa.
somebody comes into the chat and says, "Well, you could eat that brick if you put some ketchup on it." Okay, that's way out there. How do you deal with this? And of course, you have the choice to like yell at them, call them stupid, and to, But I don't seem to do that. But I will, man, I will find that will be an intriguing conversation to have. You really think you can eat
So
this
you're
brick?
just
Tell me
trying,
about
like,
that.
if you were the one that said, if you put some ketchup on that brick, it really tastes better. You would want to see if that person would bite and actually go that distance with you, or are you trying to see if they would really eat that brick with some ketchup on it?
No, what I'm saying though is that I would really feel that they truly believed that's true, that they could eat that brick. Not that
Okay.
they're not that they're phony in any way, that they truly believe they can eat that brick. And I'm just like, wow, that is intriguing that you would believe that. And and then of course it'd be like in the conversation, it'd be like, okay, well, there's a couple questions I have for you. What kind of teeth do you have? The same kind of teeth that I have? They're just like they could break if you were to bite into a brick. And you find out if
Right,
they
right,
if you have the same teeth. And it's like, okay, have you ever eaten a brick before?
right, right.
You know
And you
that.
see how those questions would annoy someone who doesn't eat bricks, right?
So what I
So
should just say is like,
here's the
you
million
get.
dollar question. Here's the $1 million question. Everybody in the chat wants to know. I've been waiting the whole time to ask it. Drum roll, please. Everybody in America wants to know this question, Jeff.
Oh boy.
Are you in any way, shape, or form affiliated with law enforcement, the FBI, or deal drugs out of your guitar?
No, no, and no, no, no. I'm a Fed, but it's only because I'm fed up. That's the only Fed that I am, is fed up.
Okay.
That blows my mind that, well, it's interesting that that question would come up as a something that would come to their mind, because
The chat saying you're a Fed.
what I'm hearing when that question comes up is like, hey, I just want to know if you're a Fed, because I have this inner hate for law enforcement and feds. It is so strong. And if you could just verify it for me, then I could feel a little more justified in hating you, because you're so nice and you never come back at anybody. And just, it's not adding up. I want to hate you, but it doesn't come natural. So that's what I hear when I think people are asking.
Toe
I don't
says, I
understand
know a
why the
Fed when I
question.
see one. Jeff is not a Fed.
I'm not the first, to be for that question. There's other YouTubers. It's like, why? I don't know why I wouldn't. That's not where I would go. I mean, but it really is. It seems to me to be there's a strong hatred of law enforcement, that I don't understand. Somebody breaks into my house. Guess what? Guess who I'm calling, and guess who I'm hoping comes here. And if they save our lives and they catch the guy who did it, I am so appreciative. The
So
hate for law
here's
enforcement
another
just
question
boggles
for
my
you.
mind.
Here's another question for you,
Well,
Jeff.
what did you think the answer was going to be?
Oh, I knew the answer. I
Oh,
knew the
okay,
answer.
okay.
At one point I was kind of confused a little bit, but I've kind of, you know, I put things together. I know the difference. Actually, I
Hmm.
thought you were Michelle at one point, but
Michelle, my belle.
Michelle, yeah, Michelle. So, what was I going to ask? Oh, you've also heard that you know the city of Moscow has gotten such a bad rap due to these murders. Do you believe that it's fair that so much is made of the town and not the murder? Like the focus should stay on the murder and not necessarily bring the town in on it. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, when it starts to go out into the town, I mean, it isn't. It seems to me that the reason it's going out into the town is because whoever's doing that is looking at it saying, "Well, I don't want it to be this guy that they've arrested, and it must be something else, and I'm going to go find it. And it's must. I'm going to go looking into the town. Is it that church over there? Is it that movie theater over there? Do they put too much butter on the popcorn in that movie theater? Or is it the salt? You know, is it because the chief's name is Fry, and we're talking about should we fry this guy? All this kind of stuff. I don't see why the town. Well, but I also see like the Toe's name turn over every stone. I don't see anything wrong with an investigating, trying to figure out a mystery, turning over every stone. But when you start, you know, when you're turning over every stone, and then all of a sudden you start claiming that's not a stone, that's a Honda Civic, and you're like, everybody's looking at it like that's a stone. What are you talking about? No, no, that's a Honda Civic. Okay, now things have just, you're changing definitions of things. Logic is no longer logic. We're no longer embracing the probable or possible or you know.
So let me give you, as well as the chat, something beneficial that you might use with people. Okay, we call this motivational interviewing in the therapy world. That you meet the person where they're at, not where you want them to be. So if they are talking about something that where their mind is at, where their thoughts are at, you don't try to bring them to you. You meet
Hmm.
them where they're at, so it doesn't start any kind of friction or a power struggle or anything like that. Because that's where a lot of these conversations, like you could say, like the guy that they believe is innocent, that is like you just drew a line in the sand and said he's guilty. Damn it, you believe he's innocent. Why? Why are you saying
Right.
so much about him? Because he's obviously guilty. Instead of saying, well, this person believes that they're innocent, I don't have to believe that, and I know I don't believe that. So let me see their point of view. And then if you walk away, like you're saying, agree to disagree, you still walk away with all your beliefs, all your thoughts. They walk away with theirs. You shake hands and you go about your business. And
Right.
I know a lot
Right.
of people can't do this because we're fighters by nature. We're not civilized people, no matter what people want to believe. We're fighters by nature. I think you just
Yeah.
got a new sub, Charisma Croft. It is Jeff 8, the guitarist.
Yeah. Now, Charisma was asking a question though that I don't think I answered because I didn't quite understand who you were referring to earlier. You were asking some questions. If you still got that question, just go ahead and ask. Well, I see the questions scrolling by
See, I get
over here.
confused when people type things in the chat. Like I didn't know if you were talking about Jeff or myself. Um, you're always speaking about you.
Well, if they say you're a
Charisma,
good,
is that
if
where are your parents from? May I ask? Is that for Jeff or is that for me?
if they should say something like, "Damn, you're a good-looking dude," I think that's talking about me. But
Yeah,
if they,
probably so. Probably so. You're probably right.
no,
Hey,
no,
you guys with the funny hairdo, where are your parents? What you talking about, Willis? Where are your parents? That comment is about Heather. Okay, that's fine. Answer it. Are you ready to come up on panel yet? Not
come
Heather
on.
Fitzgerald. You see it, right?
That was so funny.
12 gauge smells of poo. Did you notice when I stood up? Hey, man, I thought that was between us. Come on.
You know, the real
Oh,
problem is
but
when when you no longer smell like poo, and you got blockage, you got to go see a doctor.
yeah. But Jeff, I thought it'd be a good idea for not only the people in chat to get a chance to hear from your words, because I'm not on your side, I'm not on Bubbly's side, I'm not on Tommy's side, I'm not in on anybody's side but my own. You got me.
Right, right.
And these questions, I believe that these questions are fair, right?
Yeah, would be interesting
And
if they'd come up on your show too and let you, give the same fair treatment as well. I don't know if they would or not, but
well, I've invited Bubbly one time. She was in a chat when we did the 4 hour chat with Golf Inspector
mhm.
when we were talking about Idaho, and I invited her up, and she had to go. And I've invited Tommy as well. You know, it's hard for other individuals to be. I get this, because I'm the one. This is the channel. So when you're the runner of the channel and you go on somebody else's panel, it feels so strange.
Mhm.
Like you're not the lead singer anymore. They're putting you back there on drums or something. You know what I
Here's
mean?
a here's a tambourine. Have fun, but stand back there
Yeah,
out of the
exactly.
spotlight.
Exactly. You're the backup singer now. You're no longer the lead singer.
Right.
So,
Well, that sounds like narcissistic traits when you feel that way. So you always got to be the one in charge.
okay, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I
No, but
invited you as
I think it
well,
is it is
Toast.
it is an
Anytime, brother.
interesting dynamic. Yeah, Toes, come on up here.
Yeah, anytime.
Toes, I remember Toes. You were doing like some cool shots with drones and stuff with and some which was also cool to see like upcoming show trailers, which I don't think I've seen anybody else do that. I thought that was pretty
No,
cool because that
no,
make
that,
you like, oh, I gotta be sure to check that out. This looks cool,
right.
even if it is Rory that's gonna be featured. It's gonna be cool. No,
But
I don't mean to say anything bad about Rory. I do enjoy listening to Rory, although Rory does fall into that category too, where I've got as like, okay, I got some questions for you about you know this, that, and the other, but you know,
oh, he wants to come up. All right, cool.
excellent, excellent. Also, two Toes is like the one person who's the hardest to type Toes in the chat. You got to put or especially on a phone. At sign T period O period,
Right.
and you got to switch between the characters and the letters. You could
Another
drop those
mushroom drinker.
periods.
Okay. Another mushroom drinker.
What's a mushroom drinker?
I don't know. I guess somebody who's delusional.
Why'd you act like you knew what it was then?
I
You didn't
mean,
think anybody would ask.
I no,
It's
I
a
didn't.
mystery.
Honestly, no, I didn't.
What's a mushroom drinker, Texas? It's like
I'm
he's probably
member
setting
already or
he's
not.
setting us up for a joke. It's like, what's a henway? You ever heard that
Right.
joke?
Charisma is asking if you're a member already or not. I don't think so. You get a finger. What?
A mushroom drinker is an acid head.
LSD?
Oh, LSD.
Oh,
Uh,
you get a hand. You get a finger. You get a finger. You all get a finger.
I see Glitter is here. Hey, Glitter.
Hey, Glitter. You know, Bubbly, if you're in the chat and you're not chatting, I want to tell you something, okay? As a person, I can see your heart on your videos. About your content, you know I loved you from the beginning because you put a lot of thought into those beginning videos. And I don't know, somewhere, somehow you went from that and you kind of lost me with the whole shadow stuff. After that, I couldn't really stay on board, and I'm sorry about that. But I loved your beginning stuff. I really did, you know. So if you're in the chat, for myself, and I know Jeff's heart as well. But for myself, I have no ill intent towards you or Tommy or any other creator who is watching this. I know I've talked crap about some people, either in my rants or, you know, on days where I'm not having the best of days. But, you know, I just want you all to know that we're in this true crime community and I respect everybody's stuff. Do I always agree with it? Hey, I bet you don't always agree with my stuff either. So all is fair, right?
Mr.
There's the
Toes.
man. There's the man right there.
Oh
How you
no,
doing,
no,
friend?
man. You're the man. What's up, Jeff? What's up, 12 gauge?
Good to see
What's
you. Good to
going
see you.
on, man? What's going on?
Man, just chilling, enjoying this beautiful day, this beautiful time to be alive. How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've been grilling Jeff. You have any questions for Jeff?
No,
You give some hard questions to 12 gauge. Come on.
I
It's your turn,
may,
12 gauge.
maybe they will come along. I think my main purpose of coming here and talking to you and y'all and everybody else is to share my experience and
Okay.
why I'm even here in the first place, because that's one of the main things that I wonder is why is so many people concerned about this case, knowing that where they come from, they have their local crimes and local issues going on. I know where you're from, 12 gauge, you have things going on, and
Yeah.
you know it amazes me that even people like Harsh, who's across the pond, had paid
Right.
so much attention to this and even got so familiar with the names of the streets in poor little Moscow, Idaho, you know, because 98% of us never even heard of Moscow, Idaho before this case.
You're
Right.
right. You're
I thought it was
right.
in Russia when I first, the very
Yeah.
first thing I heard about it. It's like,
Yeah.
Well,
You're right.
to give some background to myself, I'm from Spokane, Washington.
Uh-huh.
My family is from that whole region. They were some of the first settlers in that region. They've been in that region for about 200 years.
Okay.
Um, I know that area inside and out, whether it be Washington, Idaho, or Montana, Western Montana. Um, so I know the rhythm of that area. I know the heartbeat of that area, and that's what really caught my attention about this case from the beginning.
Okay.
Um, I currently live in Arkansas, and I've been here for about 10 years. But I'm me being from that area and me being a YouTuber for the past 17, 18 years. I've already been subscribed to all the news channels and all the media sources from that particular area.
Right.
So when this crime and the Kopaka situation and even the Douglas Wilson interview from NBC, when it came across my radar, it came across first. And I can guarantee majority of people of that. So
Right.
if you've been following this case from the beginning, and if you were watching T Rev's show and Midnight Radio, people that kind of had a threshold in this in the beginning, you will see that I've interacted with all these channels from day one, and I've been
Okay.
adding my insight, and I'm not bragging or boasting, but I've been very accurate about a lot of this stuff. And I may have my own biases, and I'm openly and willing to admit that. But once again, my purpose of being here today is I don't really have any questions, but I want people out there to understand when it concerns Idaho, everything isn't as it appears to be. Um, what the law may dictate and what the law upholds is two different things. I'm not a cop hater. I don't have any disdainment for law enforcement, but I am highly aware of the corruption that happens in Idaho because I've been a victim of it more than once.
What kind? What kind? Is it different from what you'd find anywhere else in the country, or similar?
Yeah, yeah,
Which one, different or similar?
different, because
Yeah.
like I said, I live in Arkansas now, and it's a different world down here.
What
I
part of
don't.
Arkansas?
I live in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, which it
Okay, I
has
used
that.
to live in Jonesboro, Truman area.
Okay, I have a cousin that lives up there, and then you would know that I live in an area that has the highest murder per capita in the United States.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
know, you that is an interesting statement to me because I do get what you mean by that. I mean, the area where I'm living now, there's a lot of inability to keep officers, so a lot of the stuff that should be done by the book, it's kind of shuffled off. You get what
um,
I'm saying? It's kind of like not as investigated as thoroughly as it should be. We're going to get the bigger stuff and kind of let the other stuff kind of filter through.
yeah, they prioritize things a little different, and besides real estate being cheap as fuck, that's one of the reasons why I'm here and still here. The policing is wonderful here. I don't have to deal with the issues of driving while black or walking while black, or and these are real things that happen in where I come from. These are real things that I've experienced. These are real things that have altered my life. Um, I want
So, would
people to
you
be.
say there's a lot of racism in Idaho?
There is. I'm going to get to that, but I want people to
Okay.
be aware that when you're seeing these gentlemen like Chief Fry and Lanier and Thompson and all these gray-haired, white-haired men that seem really pristine, I want you to understand that these dudes were monsters 20 years ago when they didn't have the gray hair, when they were on the steroids, when they were coming out of the Aryan Nation boot camp that was ran out of Hayden Lake, Idaho. I need people to really understand that, that
But monsters, how? What do you mean?
just
I mean, because
and
if you, that's the thing. I have issue with like they were a monster, no details connected, no additional information. Just take my word for it. They're monsters. That's a
right.
little, that's a
So
personal
I'm
assessment of
currently
someone.
I'm currently working on a video, and I don't want to expose too much, but just put it like this: everybody I've explained and people that are aware of my life story, they've told me I could write a novel based upon my experiences just off of Idaho alone. And understand, I've never been a criminal in Idaho, but I've been through the criminal system in Idaho,
Okay.
and I'm letting you know that the corruption it runs on all levels, and it's to a point that people can't imagine. And luckily that this case has came about, so now a million eyes are on Idaho. Before, like I said, nobody even knew where Moscow, Idaho was. But I believe that this case is going to bring a halt to um let let's go back to the quote: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what was going on in Idaho before this crime occurred. Now there's eyes watching, so they have to be a little bit more careful on how they conduct themselves. But
Well, Idaho's been getting a lot of coverage with Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow. What
a
else is
little
there's
bit.
more? There's a lot of stuff that's happening in Idaho. It's like, but I mean, don't you think that a police officer can have like I shared a story where a police officer, looked at a drunk driver, walked down the sidewalk as they were arresting my friend for being drunk in public, even though I was a designated driver. And I
Right.
asked that police officer, what about that guy that just walked up to you, said, "Hey, drunk, hey, what's going on?" He just got out of his car, parked up on the curb. That officer said, "Keep walking, buddy." And I went up to the officer and I said, "What? You're arresting my friend. He's got a designated driver and me. What about that guy?" And the officer looked me in the eye and said, "What guy? I didn't see any guy." Now, if that was on a Friday, what's to say that that guy, that same cop, isn't coming and rescuing me from something on Saturday the very next day? What I'm saying is that I think a person can make bad decisions and be a bad person even just one day of the week and then the next day. So to generalize, like, because like when you say monster, I think, oh, so you met some that are actually Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday
No,
monsters.
no. Let me reiterate that um, I have no disdainment for law enforcement. I'm speaking in particular to Idaho law enforcement and from my own personal experience. And I'm aware that one day a person can violate your constitutional rights and the next day come save you from a burning car. And that's something totally separate. But
Right.
one thing to be clear is that police take an oath, just like a military person. I'm a veteran and I took an oath. And I took that oath serious, and I still take the Constitution very serious to this day. And if you veer from that, regardless of how you justify it, you're violating the constitutional,
Right. Right.
and that could never be acceptable. The minute that we accept it and overlook it and bypass it, now we got a problem in America, and that's where we're at today. And I'm not, once again, my problem isn't with police. My problem isn't with the feds. My problem isn't with
Do you believe that it's small town politics that create these problems?
yeah. They have to protect what they've acquired. You know, when you look at it from the governor down to the janitor, they're all alumni of the University of Idaho, um, and I'm pretty sure that there's uh, benefits that come along with that. They have to protect what they have, and just like here in Arkansas, you're from you said you lived in Jonesboro, so like what's happening here where I live, I recognize the same patterns that are happening in Moscow. To whereas money might get sent here to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, but because the mayor is from let's say Wabaseka, Arkansas, now money is getting funneled to there. And if a lot of people started doing their research into Troy, Idaho, where Chief Fry lives, and what's the guy, the author, the guy that wrote the book? I can't think of it right
Howard
now.
Howard
Bloom.
Bloom.
Yeah,
Howard
go
Bloom.
look at the Bloom family in Troy, Idaho. You know, you'll start to see that things start making more sense here. But I just like once again, my intention on coming in here is to let people know that what the law stipulates and what the law upholds is two different things. And when it comes to Idaho, this is what I'm talking about.
So, what kind of town is Moscow? Can you give us an overview? Like, is it an overall friendly town? Is it like, because we get different stories from different news
Yeah.
people. We get, people are claiming it's a party town, or cops are always called, and all this stuff. What kind of town
Um,
is?
it's a quaint, small little town. You could drive through it in about 5 or 10 minutes. My cousin, he played football for the U of I. I've conducted business in Moscow, and I've actually been in jail being transported in Moscow. And that's part of my story too. And I won't go into too much detail about that experience. But for the most part, the people of Moscow are good people. It's just anywhere in Idaho, and let's take Brian, for example, if you have out of state plates, especially plates that are out of state further than Washington, Montana, or Oregon, you're in trouble and you're going to be targeted. The minute that you cross any one of the Idaho state lines, there's a Gestapo of police already waiting for you. Because you got to remember that Idaho is surrounded by all weed legal states. Montana is weed legal, Nevada is weed legal, Oregon is weed legal, Washington is weed legal. So a lot of their revenue is made off of what crosses those borders. Not even concerning the meth and all that crazy shit. We're just talking about something as simply as
Right.
weed. I got people right now to this day that are on probation, paying restitution, have served time within recent years because of marijuana. You know, and that's Idaho's bread and butter. You know, they take pride in that. You know, so
Now, are you saying though, if you have out of state plates, you might by chance find yourself being accused of a murder though, a quadruple murder because
that
you
that's a
have out of
little
state plates?
that's a little extreme, Jeff, and it takes an
That's what I
abstract mind
thought.
to
That's
have
what
you
I.
ask a question like that.
No, I'm just saying. I mean,
Fuck.
isn't it a fair question? I know that's not what you were saying. You were talking about
Oh.
marijuana, but we are kind of talking about the Idaho case too. So
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, listen to all the theories that are out there. For someone to have a theory that it's because he had out of state plates that they tried to make him a patsy, figured they'll just take an out of stater and
But who has
it'll
said
all
that
happen.
though? Who has said that?
No, nobody has said that. I'm just saying that that's of all the theories that are out there and how wild they can be. It's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. That I'm just glad that's not what you were
If
getting.
you go
That's not what
back,
you were getting at.
if you go back to his first interaction with Latah County to August 21st, 2022, you can most likely credit it to him having out of state plates. You know, where he was at is a
With that
very,
with that traffic stop, is that what you mean?
yeah, if you can call it a
Which one
traffic
is that?
stop.
Refresh my memory though. That's
That
not the.
that was the one that was really close to Winco parking lot. Um, when you go over into the Moscow side of things, because a lot of people from Washington see what you got to understand is see Spokane's sister city is Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, and Pullman's sister city is Moscow, and a lot of people from the Washington side will go over to Idaho because there's tax exemptions. You never buy alcohol in Washington, you never buy gas in Washington, and you never buy cigarettes in Washington. And you can't buy weed in Idaho, so a lot of people from Idaho come over to the Washington side of things for that. But as far as like even basic things, if you're going to buy a TV and you live that close to the state line, you might as well go over to Moscow or Coeur d'Alene or Post Falls and buy it from there because you're not going to pay taxes. Like Washington has such a crazy tax on alcohol to where it's like a bottle of, let's say, E&J will cost $25 in Washington, but excuse me, 25. It'll cost like $45 in Washington, but if you go over to Idaho, it costs 25 because of the taxes.
Let me
So,
answer this question for Justine right quick. I believe
okay,
that cannabis shop that you're referring to is on the edge of town. It might be
Florence.
past the city limit. The cannabis shop. She said, "Can someone explain how there is a cannabis shop in Moscow?"
There's not. It's actually in the Washington side. It's in Whitman County.
That's Floyd's, right?
Yeah. There is
Yeah.
no dispensaries in the state of Idaho, medicinally or recreationally, period.
Okay.
But
I mean, what the drive like? I mean, is it within an hour? I mean, are these states that small that you can? Because I'm from Texas, so driving for me is hours and hours and hours and hours. You know what I mean?
right, it depends on what corridor you go through. See, if you go through, let's say if you go through the I-90 corridor, right? Now, I live in Arkansas. If I was going to drive to Spokane to visit my family, the most treacherous part of that whole road trip, 2,500 miles, is the 68 miles that I have to go through Idaho. One, because you have two mountain passes, 4th of July and Lookout Pass, and two, because of the Gestapoism that you have to deal with when you cross over that state line. Now
So do
that's
they pull you over and just check you out, make sure you
the
don't have drugs?
man. They'll tear your car apart. They'll
Okay.
tear if your plates, first of all, if your plates aren't correct, they're gonna pull you over. If you're coming from somewhere that's a little too far, they're most likely gonna pull you over. And
Okay.
I'm just, and that's through the I-90 corridor, and that's through the 68-mile corridor. Then you have the southern portion of Idaho, which is much wider, and it takes a lot longer to go through. What is that? What is
Okay.
that? The 84, the 80, or what? I can't even think of it right now. But when you go through Boise and whatsoever, that's a whole different part. But no matter what part of Idaho, because I've been through all different borders, it's just when you cross over from any state into Idaho, they're there. More than Texas. I've been through Texas, and I know how Texas is, and they're like
Yeah.
Texas, but a lot more concentrated. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially how Amarillo is, that Panhandle. So
Yeah.
it's like that throughout
I mean,
Idaho.
I would believe that there, having that school there would be a lot of out of staters, but like you're saying, if there's a concentrated amount of them that live in neighboring states that go to that university, if you're an out
Yeah,
of stater, it's very rare, I guess it would be, for you to be as far as Pennsylvania.
yeah, because like with Idaho, University of Idaho, most of those people are in-state in tuition. They're more in-state tuition because they get that break when you're in-state. That's why Ethan Chapin's family had a residence in northern Idaho. If you think about it, like they didn't just primarily live in Washington; they also lived in Idaho because to pay for that difference in the tuition.
Okay.
So a lot of people that go to University of Idaho are already residents of Idaho.
Okay.
It's yeah. Boise might be a little bit different, but University of Idaho, most of those people, unless you're like sports, like my cousin, he got recruited from San Bernardino for football. But for as far as intellectual wise, most of the people are coming from in state.
Well, let me ask you a question, Toast, since we got you on panel. Um, with all the theories that are out there, is there any of them that you really believe that could possibly be on the right track?
I I could probably answer that better by telling you the ones that I don't believe.
Okay.
And
Well,
I don't
what's
believe
that?
the drug angle.
Okay.
Um, I don't believe the cartel angle.
Okay.
Um, I don't believe the Aryan anything angle.
Okay.
Um,
Do you
I
believe the
don't.
shadows, the reflections?
No, no, I don't entertain to any of that shit. I
Okay.
don't believe the fraternities had anything to do with this. This is not a child that was committed. This is not a crime that was committed by a child or children. Um, you know,
I've
so
always thought that. I've always thought that as well. I mean, I've rode with this maybe from the beginning, but I really didn't start looking into it probably until about middle of December, and I was playing catch up from then on. And I didn't have a channel till probably almost March. So, I didn't have, I would just listening to the stuff and, reading all the stuff that was coming out because there was a lot of stuff coming out every day. Every single day there was something. There was some
yeah,
kind of theory, some kind of news report, whatever. And, I've I've never deep dove into the politics side of it, um, the corruption side of it. I can be honest, and I haven't deep dove in all that because I don't. I mean, this is how I believe about the whole case. If they did their job according to the way that they were meant to do their job, or even if they didn't, and they're just trying to cover up the fact that they didn't do their job, hopefully the FBI can cover can cover it where it makes sense, where it's not. a cover up, but it's a genuine investigation. But I could be naive in thinking that, because I always want the good guy to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And what people also got to understand is about Idaho when it comes to like federal jurisdiction is that it's a different game there. Um, okay. And what I mean by that is that no federal agent ever puts in their slip and says, "Hey, I want to be transferred to Idaho."
Right.
Uh, so a lot of what they call their federal agents that are in the state of Idaho are people that started off on the cop level, and they might have went and did some training over in Quantico or did some training over here, or did some courses on this and that, and they might have federal credentials, or they
Right.
might work side by side with federal agencies, sort of like Fry. Fry is not a Fed, but he's gone through some training with them. And you have a
Right.
lot of that in Idaho in comparison to, like, let's say, Spokane or Boise, where you actually have federal agencies there. And that's where feds report to and real feds. So it's like, uh, like I said, in Idaho, they kind of play by their own rules there. It's a really special state. And
Yeah. So here's
yeah.
another question. Why do you think all the feds were there to begin with? I think it was a drug trafficking bust. Either one of you have any comment on that?
I'll let Jeff go first. He hasn't talked much lately. I like his voice.
I mean, I would only be guessing, but I mean, I think if this case had turned like to a cold case, it's never going to go away. I mean, we'd be talking about the university how, like the 4 Dead in Ohio back in the what 70s. Neil Young wrote a song about it. It's still alive, and today that. So to have this, now of course we knew who did it that there, but to have this be an unsolved mystery is, I think they just needed to call in. You know, for a bigger job, you need a bigger tools. You might have to go beyond Home Depot to get the job done, and so I think they brought in the tools that could get the job done. And I mean, when you've got, and like I said, I tend to lean towards that they did a great job and that they have the right guy. But I mean, like while we were all talking about it being one of the jacks, it had to be maybe one of the jacks, one of the people involved, a circle of friends. I mean, I think most people were surprised. I was like, nope, we found the guy. He's all the way in Pennsylvania. We followed him to all the way to Pennsylvania. We made sure it's him. I personally think that if they had checked the DNA and it wasn't a match, they'd be like, all right, guys, we had a nice drive to Pennsylvania. Let's go back to Idaho. We got to figure out what this is. This isn't the guy. But what are the chances? Oh, this is a match. What do you know? Um, and I think so. I mean, that's just speculating why the FBI was
So
involved. I think it's a huge case.
I guess I do have a question for you. So let's say that Brian is the guy. Do you think he could have committed these crimes, or just any individual at that, in about an 8-minute time frame in a 3-story
I
house that he's
one
unfamiliar
at
with?
one at a time. Yeah, one at a time. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
ever see these guys who go stabbing in like a parade or something, and they go one to the other, to the next, and then they try to run down a alley or something. Um, you know,
Yeah.
if you've got to take on, that's why my theory is that it's one at a time. If you've got to take on two of them at a time, the chances are great that one of them is going to be able to scream, alert the other roommates that survived. That's why I think that's one of the main reasons I think it's one at a
I mean,
time.
but even
And
if
I
it's
think it's
one at a time, like I didn't mean to cut you off, but even if it's one
it's
at a
okay.
time, I don't know if you ever kill a chicken, but even when you cut the head off the chicken's still running around like crazy. Just because you stab somebody don't mean that they're dead. So
Right.
it's like, you know,
What if you
um,
knock it unconscious first? Does it run around if it's unconscious first?
no, I guess not. If it's not
So that's
if it's
that's
not conscious,
that's that's why my
but
theory goes that way too. And like
that.
I mean, I could pull out the K-bar knife that I have here. The end of that knife is no different than the little hammer that I have in my tool drawer. I could hammer
But
the
now
same
we're
way
talking about
with
a
it.
robot if we're pertaining to 4 people. We're like,
Robot.
for real. We're speaking of something that has no emotions and something that is purely only physically capable of doing two activities: make you unconscious and then stab you. And so, like when you're looking at it like that, there's still two witnesses that are alive in that house. You know, that would have witnessed and heard something. So if you have something that mechanical
Well,
and
they
that
did. They did
robotic,
hear, but didn't they hear something that sounded like someone playing with the dog? So yeah, they did hear something. They
well,
just didn't real. It's like, I think I try to remember. I don't know if it was in a movie or maybe it was an actual roommate, where us roommates were confused, like what is going on upstairs. I think they're fighting, and they were actually making love.
but
You
the
can mistake
time
hearing what the sounds are.
the
You know what
the
I'm saying?
time that Kaylee would have been heard playing with their dog, Brian wouldn't have been in that house yet,
Why is that?
because this is apparently before the DoorDash, which would have been apparently before 4 or whatever when Brian entered the house.
Wait, let me pull up the PCA. So you're saying that by the PCA, it's before DoorDash?
DoorDash got there about 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
It
it
At
said
said
4 o'clock,
approximately.
I did a video.
Yeah,
I did a
approximately
video.
4 o'clock or something like that. And
Yeah.
then they said, the last pass was about 4:07:30 something, and then he went and parked. So he wasn't even in the house yet at 4 o'clock,
Right.
according
So
to the
yeah,
Linda
DoorDash.
Lane. According to the Linda Lane video footage and the time, he wasn't even in the house yet at 4 o'clock. They're
I
approximating
think
all
the
this
key
stuff.
word is approximately. They're saying
Yeah,
approximately
they're
4 o'clock.
approximate. They're
If I
saying
tell you I'm going to be there at approximately 4 o'clock and I'm there at 4:15, well, I'm still on time as far as I'm concerned. So.
I don't think they would have put that much time away from, like if you said the DoorDash was there at approximately 4 o'clock, it would have been closer to 4 o'clock.
Right,
But
because if
that's
you're
just
going
me.
by the exact times like that, because in the very next sentence it says a short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonsalves say something like "There's someone here." So, a short time later, approximately. There's all these things. So that's why you caught my interest because I never really looked at it like when it comes to down to the minute type of conversations. I get into those with Linda Lane because you see the timestamp of the time
I
the car's
bet the
been over.
next PCA this dude writes, he has every little piece of evidence in that PCA.
And
He has
and
timestamps. He has everything.
and according to like the Linda Lane footage, how do you account for the missing time frame from when the DoorDash driver's vehicle would have been seen, which is I think from like 4 o'clock till like 4:06 or something weird like that. That piece of Linda Lane footage is not there, and that's
Right. Yeah,
crucial
he took.
because
Well,
I believe
wait,
that the
what
vehicle
part's
that the
not there?
DoorDash the 4 o'clock to about 4:06 a.m. It's
Are
not
you
there.
saying that you
Yeah,
think
they
you would
don't. They
see the
don't show
DoorDash
the
on Linda
DoorDash.
Lane?
They don't show the DoorDash. See, that's why I believed he made where it said he veered off into the driveway and then he backed up and then went to the edge of the street. I always thought in my head that was giving another car distance to go around him. But the car could have went up, King, backed up. And what if it wasn't even the Elantra? What if it was the DoorDash driver that ended up in the in the driveway trying to back out?
Well, I did a video. I think it's called Beep Beep on my page, and it's I have an Elantra, so I know what an Elantra horn sound like. And
Okay.
ever since I heard, see, we have the audio of the DoorDash driver, which what we assume is the DoorDash driver at 4 o'clock in the morning, but we don't have any video because that part is cut from the 1320 Linda Lane footage. But from my analysis, that vehicle that would have delivered the DoorDash, in my opinion, unprofessional opinion, would have had to been a Hyundai Elantra based off of the sound of the horn and the rhythm in which the horn honked at.
Is
I have
yours
a question
white?
for you.
No, mine is not white. I have many vehicles, and no, it is not white. It is gray. I mean, but Jeff H has already proven it
Hey,
can
it
be
could
green.
it could be white. It could be
Are you
white
missing
under
a
the
knife
right
sheath?
It
camera.
could be green too. It could be green, right, Jeff?
It could be a light green. Yeah. Yeah. It could be a
Yeah.
light green.
Yeah.
But I only showed it on one camera. If I had all the cameras, it
Dude, that
possibly
was
captured
fine
it.
enough.
might-
I think that video is so important to that case. I don't even think people understand.
Yeah,
the
but you know the
importance
other
of
things
that
you got to consider: the infrared light that comes out of that camera that causes the colors to be messed up. If you
Yeah.
look on the Rio Link website, which was sent to me by the landlord of 1330, that camera model, the light is, I think it's 100 feet. When I'm sitting at my desk, I think I even have that green notebook right here. I used to. That notebook was a lot closer than 100 feet to the camera. So if you think about the car at 405 that's sitting there for 10 seconds and the distance from the camera, I don't know that infrared light is going to have the same influence that my notebook did from that close. I mean, when you're doing something scientific, you got to do it. Like if we're going to try and say,
Then you
well, what is it
should.
like in the ocean? What is
you
it
did
like in the ocean?
you did such a good job with that video. I think you should do exactly what you're explaining
No,
there.
believe me, and just like in the way that you have an Elantra, in my backyard, I have a red Toyota RAV4. So I plan on parking it. And then from my second floor bedroom window,
Y'all
I
going
think
to
I
buy
can
these
simulate.
cars, bro. Y'all going to buy these cars on purpose.
No, but let me ask you something, because what you said, Toes, sounds like you think that the DoorDash driver should have been seen on the Linda Lane camera. Why? Or
Why
did I
is
misunderstand you?
Why isn't it?
Yeah, why? Because they wouldn't be seen, from what I
Why
understand.
why did they cut that? Why did they cut
No, they
out
wouldn't
of all
be
the
seen.
footage we've seen? Why did they cut from 4 o'clock to 4:06?
No, but why would they be seen? Because they wouldn't go in front of the cameras. That's what I'm saying. They would go down Taylor, King, Queen,
That's
go to the house.
that's what I'm
They'd never-
saying. That they're not seen on the 1320 camera from Taylor Road, just like we've seen all the so-called Elantra going down Taylor Road on all the other footage. We're not seeing that DoorDash vehicle drive by because that footage has been taken out. My question is, why was it taken out?
You mean that there's no it doesn't exist from
It does not
the
exist
time you think it would be?
on
Okay, you
on
sure?
the time I know from 1320 Linda Lane from 4 o'clock to about 4:06. That footage does not exist, but it exists for all other
I
hours.
thought they said when they talked to the DoorDash driver. See, I'm getting the DoorDash driver and the rideshare driver confused. It's easy to do. One of them said they pulled up into the driveway and then backed out and then headed out. Was that the rideshare driver that spoke that, or was that the DoorDash driver? I don't think we've heard much from the DoorDash driver.
Are you guys
4:06
hearing me
to 5
okay?
a.m.
Are you guys hearing me? I saw something in the comments.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well,
No,
I'm sorry, Jeff. What'd you say?
There's a clip here. I don't know if I got this from okay, no, it does start at 4:06. So we've got a 4:06 a.m. to 5 a.m. 1320 Linda Lane clip. Let me check both of them. Yeah, both of them seem to start at 4:06. Is that what you're getting at? Is it the clip doesn't start right at 4? It starts at 4:06.
Yeah, that's crucial. That's crucial.
But let me ask you this: what's the chances, though, that this same driver didn't come down Walenta and didn't come through Taylor? I mean, the thing is, it's like any car that's on Taylor from the 1320 Linda Lane camera, you can't tell much about that. It's so far away.
If you look at my video, it goes into depth about that because someone else had covered that, and even Get a Clue had covered it from the person. I don't even remember the person's name who I hijacked in my video, but it goes into depth about that on how you know they didn't come from Walenta, that they actually came from Taylor. You know, but like I said, miraculously, no matter how you try to explain it, the footage.
Do you think
from
they took that
4 o'clock
out? Do you think they took that out to protect the DoorDash driver? There's a lot going on with that DoorDash driver because they didn't name him. They didn't, there wasn't any kind of information about what he saw, do you think he saw more than we believe he saw? Do you think his camera caught something? I mean, because he was almost there at the same damn time.
Well, this is how I feel about the DoorDash driver, or supposed DoorDash driver, is
Okay.
that one, we got to go back to Corona time. There wasn't many things open in that area during Corona time. And the only thing that was operational at that time that did service the Moscow area was Winco Groceries. So if anything was doing any type of delivery based off of that aspect, it would have been Instacart. Just Jack in the Box closed at that time. Unless she would have put her order in at 2 o'clock in the morning for it to be delivered at 4 o'clock. That's just odd to me. So I'm the most logical
Yeah,
thing.
it was never in the PCA that she ordered Jack in the Box anyways. It just
Right,
said she
right.
placed an order from DoorDash.
The only thing that would have been open, and I actually think that Instacart is an entity off of DoorDash. I know they're a subsidiary off of something, but I'm just not 100% sure of what it is. But the only thing
So
that
you
would have
don't believe that there was drugs being dropped off by EB?
no, but what I do think is that the people that could have been observing this house could have perceived it as drugs.
Okay.
And those people that I'm speculating are my main suspects concerned in this case.
If you were talking to the DoorDash driver and trying to find as much information out as you could find. Now I know we tend to do Uber Eats over here more than DoorDash because DoorDash around here was always couldn't find our house for some reason. But I know with Uber Eats they take a picture of the food in front of the house. A picture from a cell phone is going to have a timestamp. They'd be able to prove that they were there when they said they were. And short of like, okay, the law enforcement sounds like they said they've talked to the DoorDash. I don't believe they're like are a suspect.
But didn't the DoorDash driver come, like, he didn't even realize till the next day, and he came to the police and told them about the DoorDash delivery. He's the one that included himself in the investigation. They didn't go and find him. He
Came forward.
included himself. Yeah.
And the only thing I really remember about the DoorDash driver, like I said, I've been on this case since day one. So I remember the first thing I ever read about the DoorDash driver is that person was from Lewiston, Washington. So
See, I never heard that, but that's interesting to know.
there's been a lot of things that's been scrubbed
Oh
that's
yeah.
hard to find.
Oh yeah.
One thing I've
It
been
makes
looking
you
for.
feel it makes you feel crazy, doesn't it? When you know that you've seen it or you've seen a
Exactly.
picture and you
But you
go
can't find
look
it
for it
now.
and you
Yeah.
can't find it,
Yeah,
and
I've
you
been
That's like
looking
put
early
doubt
for
in
on.
your work.
I've been looking
Like
for that
early on.
interview with Chief Fry where he had said that he was camping that night, and that's why he didn't get instant notification.
I remember
And
that too.
I can't find that interview
You
anywhere, man.
know, you know what they were saying also. I don't know if you remember this, but I don't know if it was 4chan or Reddit where they said that Chief Fry got back into town and that there was a human brain on a trash can when he came back into town. Do you remember that being said?
Um, no,
That
I've
there was
never heard that.
there's
I'm,
part of brain matter on the trash can.
but I'm glad you mentioned that because I know this is kind of a screwball. But around the same time that this crime occurred, there was something that happened in Tennessee that caught my attention. I think it happened on November 18th, but they found a human heart in a pile of salt in Tennessee. The Tennessee Highway Department, they use salt during wintertime to salt their roads.
Right.
And there was actual human heart that was found. And to my knowledge, they never identified whose heart that was. And so I did my own little weird research and come to find out that the salt that the Tennessee department, the highway department that they use, they actually get that from Idaho. And, I just always wondered, was anybody missing a heart? But they did say it was a male's heart they did determine that the male's
Right.
heart that was found on the salt pile in Tennessee.
Man, there was so much said in the beginning, bro. Like, there was a lot of stuff said about Ethan, and that's why they were calling it a targeted attack, because supposedly, he was stabbed through his leg so deep that it went out to his hamstrings, and part of his body was cut up. It was a lot of bad stuff said in the beginning, and I mean, you just don't know what to believe because it's no longer around. You can't find it.
Yeah, well, just
Like you
looking at the
said.
blood trail coming out the house, anything's imaginable.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for that
What's
much
your
blood
theory,
to actually
Toes?
come out.
Do you have a theory of like how the killer went into the house, what he did, how he came out, how he got away?
Well, since it's never been disclosed how the killer came in or left the house, I can't really speak on that. I do feel as if the crime scene was controlled. I feel as if it would have taken 3 or more people to control that crime scene. Meaning
So you
that,
believe there was people on the outside watching?
no, I don't really
Lookout?
think there was. No, I don't think there was people on the outside looking in. I think there was more people on the inside that were controlling. Because in order for the victims to put up such a minimal amount of fight, there would have had to been more than just a knife involved. People are more prone to defend themselves when they're faced with a knife compared to a gun. People, when they're confronted with a gun, they'll freeze up. They'll turn into mannequins.
You see that that judge in Kentucky. I think that shows kind of how most
Right.
people probably would react to.
But when it comes to a knife, and especially if it's 4 people, all 4 people aren't just going to be like, oh, well, Maddie got murked, and then Kaylee got murked, and then Xana got murked, and I guess it's my turn too. No, there's going to be more fight unless there's control. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it's like there had to have been a force. There had to have been a force that was preventing them from reacting. You got to remember, Xana was a gymnast, dude. I've dated gymnasts before. They could sit there and do backflips in one spot, dude. Like, a gymnast is one of the last things that you ever want to fight with. They'll kick you in angles. They understand geometry and algebra in ways that you don't. So it's like, I have a hard time just sitting here accepting that these people just lay down like baked potatoes.
They did find a gun at his residence. In Pennsylvania.
That is real interesting. Yeah. And as far as where I stand, I don't believe Brian is innocent or guilty. I just believe that I have not been presented enough information to make that determination that he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
did you see the Banfield? Did you see? I got a question from the chat from Leslie and Billy. She wants to know what you think about the Banfield. Whenever the police officer is talking to Saeed and he walks by the police officer, did you hear Saeed say, did you hear that noise?
No, I didn't hear that, but I do believe that there is a wealth of information in that body cam. I think at least half of the crimes were occurring during the time that body cam footage was being filmed.
Wow.
When you hear
who was killed then, do you think? Who do you think was being killed then at that time?
I honestly, I really don't know, but I do know at 2:55:19, you can hear a female saying, "Stop it, stop, stop it, stop." And I went and matched that up with the Linda Lane footage, and you can also hear it on the Linda Lane cameras too. So that kind of lets me know that wherever that noise was coming from was triangulated in between the cop's body cam and the Linda Lane footage, which puts the King Roadhouse within that vicinity. You see what I'm saying? Like how the video you released yesterday where, you're able to separate the different sounds. I kind of did the same thing. I actually made a video about that as well. I'm not trying to bump my channel, but
yeah, you guys go check out Toes' channel. Heather, can you put that in the chat? I know you're not a mod, but I
when
don't know
Ethan
what happened to
Chapin's
your rent.
when Ethan's mom says at 2 a.m. is a dark hour, I believe her. I
What
believe
do you
her.
think she
She's
means
been
by
the.
that?
I believe exactly what she said by that. I believe by her silence it speaks volumes. The ones
What
that
do you
are
think
talking
she
the
means,
most,
though?
the ones that are talking the most are the ones that you need to keep your eye on. The ones that aren't saying the most are the ones that you need to be paying the least attention to. But what she said, I believe that she spoke volumes. I believe that she knows. She knows. She has 2 other kids that go to that school. So they have their own insights on top of that. She knows, regardless of what the police said, that something happened at 2 a.m., not 4 o'clock. It would like I
Right.
did it.
So
Excuse me.
that's what you think she means by that.
I did another video. Once again, I'm not trying to bump my shit, but there's a video
You're
on my
fine. You're
shit
fine. Hey,
where
you're on panel, so you're good. You're
Go
good.
get you some
Let me
toes.
share this what you're talking about right now before we go to
yeah,
something else. I
okay.
watched that 2 o'clock video. It was Jeff's. I know y'all can't see this, but it starts at 2:18. I wrote down these timestamps. At 2:18:24, sobbing. At 2:18:58, there's crying. At 2:19:24, there's a dog barking. 2:19:39, dog barking. 2:19:49, dog barking. 2:19:55, car sound. 2:20:36, help. 2:20:48, girl screams. 2:21:11, girl screams. 2:21:44, stop. 2:22:10, crying. 2:23:20, choking sound. 2:24:41, car and dog barking. Well, the car's not barking, but the dog was barking. 2:25:08, screams, and 2:29:29 is a male voice.
Yeah, and think about it. 2:28 would have been the time that Jack Showalter would have been arriving back to the King Road residence if he would have walked from the grub truck area, because it takes, I think, approximately like 28 minutes to walk from the
So,
grub truck area.
so when were they texting Jack? Was it from 1:30 to what? 2.
No, from like 2:28 till about 2:59.
Okay,
Something like
so
that.
if
Something
all
like
this
that.
was if all this was happening and those texts and those phone calls were going on, that kind of puts it in context. It
Yeah.
does make sense if you look at it that way.
They were in distress of something. A female's not going to call you 9 times at almost 3 o'clock in the morning, not unless she's trying to, get some nookie or something. But to have her best friend call you too, something else is going on. Something's going on.
I mean,
It could be about Nookie. I mean, future Nookie, future
Yeah.
relationship.
But this is a
continuation
future
or-
relationship. I mean, this is something
No,
that
but
they're
I
already
mean-
used to. You know how.
No, but I
it
mean,
is.
she's leaving. She's leaving town.
so
And
do you
if
believe
if
that?
there's a
Do you
misunderstanding
believe that
about
that's
her
where
leaving town,
people? Do you believe that that's where people get that they weren't killed inside the house?
No, they were
Because of
killed
those
inside the
sounds?
house. They were
Because
killed.
I've heard that. I've heard
My
that
opinion.
more than once. I've heard that more than once. People have brought that into the chat.
Mhm.
You know, they've said they weren't here. They weren't killed inside the house. You know, blah blah blah.
No, I don't subscribe to that. I think the problem happened where the crime occurred, and I mean,
Well, in
dude,
the
you can see the
beginning,
walls.
the coroner said between 3 and 4. They didn't change that until later on to 4 to 4:28 or 4 to 4:28, somewhere around there. 19 minutes, 4:19, 4 to 4:20.
Yeah, you
My
know,
question-
as far as like Kathy Mabuti or whatever her name is, um, it's like you can't be a jack at all trades and do one job well. It's either you're a public defender or you're a coroner, and it's really hard for me to take her serious if she's both. So like I not to be rude and not to discredit what she has done for society in Idaho, but I can't really take her serious if she claims both of those titles.
So, do you believe that the Linda Lane footage was messed with?
It had to have been. If there's footage missing from 4 o'clock to 4:06, which is a crucial time that would show at least the vehicle description of the DoorDash vehicle, it has been altered, and there's reasons for it. If you look at Kane, whatever his name is, Kane Francedovich or whatever, and when you go into his background and his position in the hospital and where those cameras, especially 1320, was viewing, what is it called? Tarnican Hall? I bet you Heather would know precisely, but his cameras were actually monitoring Tarnican Hall, which he was one of the voices and one of the main forces behind setting that up as a COVID um, quarantine house. That that house that those cameras view, I don't know if you know this, it's facing an old frat house, which is called Tarnican Hall. But when the COVID epidemic was going on, and at the time that these crimes actually occurred, that house was being occupied for a quarantine house um, that was first established by Kane Franzedovich and Karen Best. And both of them are the CEO and the CFO of the hospital there within town. And then you also look into more history, Karen Best, and when her husband and Karen Best got married, Chief Fry and his wife were the best man and best woman for her. But anyways, but yeah, so it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah,
Man.
it's too much. We'd be here all week.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming up, man. You need to come up another time so we can, like on a weekend or something, we can make it like a 5 hour live. We're notorious for that.
Yeah, man. I've been meaning to come up here, and I'm a big fan of your channel and just really your personality. I strongly believe that you and I don't need to see exactly eye to eye to get along.
Yeah.
Um, there's other creators out there like Forensic Frenzy, man. I love her work. Um, but you're a respectful person, and so you should get respect back. But there's other people out
Well,
there, I wouldn't even call them creators, that are just completely disrespectful, and their intentions are to go into people's chats or to go into people's works and just be naysayers, and that's what I like about you, is that you don't do that. You speak your piece, and you don't step on too many toes. Jeff, I love your personality too. I don't care what anyone has to say about you.
I
Uh,
didn't
bullshit.
trigger you in any way or say anything wrong or like really just you're not gonna do a long hour-long video about me and your interaction with me tonight, are you?
no, no, not at all, dude. It's just that would be a waste of my time. I'm able to see where your heart's at, and I can respect people's opinions. If it comes out at the end and Brian's like, "Yeah, I did this, and I did it in actually 5 minutes," and then I'll be like, "Yo, I was wrong. I was dead wrong." You
I
know,
mean, we'll all three be up here eating grilled bro, buddy. We will
Can
be
I get
yeah,
eating
fries on a side?
bro. Yeah, rotisserie style.
yeah,
I got to put some hot sauce on mine though, man. I need some flavor. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I'm
But
really grateful you allowed me to come up here. I'm probably gonna sign off here, and I'm just gonna become a spectator.
all right,
Um,
cool, man. I appreciate you coming up. You're always welcome. Just let me know if you have questions or you have something to say or you want to add to the conversation. You're more than welcome.
for
You're
sure,
more
dude.
than
I'm always lurking, man. I'm always lurking. I might not always comment, but I'm always lurking.
I appreciate you, man.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
you. Any more
Good
questions
to,
for Jeff before you hop off?
good to see you, Toes.
Nah, no question for Jeff, but just take it easy, bro, man. Just take it easy, man. I like you, man, and I don't. You know what I mean? Just don't be the pinata. Be the stick. You know what I mean? Just.
Yeah, I chose to be the stick twice in like a year, and like, man, you didn't become the pinata.
Yeah, just take it easy, man. All right, man. Y'all have a good night.
All right, buddy.
All right,
All
Thank
right,
you so
Toes.
much.
all right.
Hey, Crime
Hey, we
Sleuth.
have Crime Sleuthing in the chat.
All right, our next panelist is here.
Hey, Crime, you want to jump up here? Man, Jeff. Um, so how do you? I've never noticed that 4 to 4:06, and I mean, we don't have time to do that tonight, or I would, We
Yeah, it is interesting because I mean I know it's my understanding that these cameras there are the it records continuous clips and then it also has a setting to record separate clips that start when motion triggers it, a bug flying past the lens, a car, something like that. So it's really kind of hard to tell if the 406 isn't because that's when the clip something triggered it to start recording at 406. You know, there's nothing. The fact that a lot of these clips are like starting at the top of the hour, going to the top of the next hour, I don't know if that's just how they chose to cut them and splice them and save them. You know, to be honest, with my camera that I have myself, I haven't ever really done a, you know, a couple hour long clip. You need to go outside, Nanook. Let me take Nanook outside. I think he's got to pee.
all right, all right. Well, you guys in the chat, y'all have any questions for Jeff? We're kind of like just asking him questions about some of his thought process, some of his comments, whether they get misinterpreted or anything like that. We've had a good chat tonight. I appreciate everybody being respectful. I don't know if I have any mods in the place. I think PKC is the only one in here, so she's working hard for you guys. PKC, if you or somebody else can drop Toes, if you want to drop your channel name in the chat, you're more than welcome. I appreciate you, brothers. So we have another creator, Crime Sleuthin. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Going
Well,
on
thank you
2
for
hours
the.
and 12 minutes.
Oh, I am fashionably late then.
Well, we really don't have a topic. We were talking Idaho there for a little bit, but tonight I just got on here to really ask Jeff some tough questions because Jeff had been I don't know, I wouldn't say attacked. I would say that he's been, what would be the word that people did? What? Yeah, I guess attacked. Misunderstood. There you go.
Yeah,
Misunderstood.
I know Jeff
So,
very well, and he knows me, and we've both seen each other go through some real BS on here, and you know,
yes.
you can't quit. You can't let him win. I
Yeah,
don't know
I
about
think
you,
I
but it
feel like
makes
it's
me dig
isn't it
my
about the
toes in deeper.
isn't the I feel like it's about the I see it more as just the retaliation. You know,
Yeah,
again, that's why I keep pointing out. I made a 51-second video. It ended up being an
ostracized.
hour and 6 long live stream, ripping me to pieces. All I said, and I didn't say it with my own mouth, was bullshit. You know, that's a little kid saying that, and
That
the
video,
reaction.
that video killed me, dude.
I mean, you know, sometimes you just get an idea, and it's like, I mean, because I could have done an hour-long live stream. Listen to what he said here. Look at this.
Oh,
No,
dude,
why not just present it with a little kid saying and making your point? So,
you did it. You did it with humor and quite a lot of grace. I
and
mean,
gently. Yeah,
you know,
right. I did.
I
Thank
thought
you.
it was a perfect way to put that out there. And then I loved how that one person commented back to you, and they're like, "Da, da, 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 da." I don't remember what they said, and you were like, "Really? Should I call this out too?" And you put that link to the other one. I fell out of my chair. I was like, "Oh my!"
My favorite thing was when somebody commented. They said, "You just lost a subscriber," and about 5 minutes later, somebody in that same thread was like, "You just gained a subscriber." It's like, hey,
Right?
you
Garbage
know,
out.
it balances out.
I believe, I don't know how long you've been doing this. Can I call you Debbie or you want me to call
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
Stephen?
don't care.
Okay, Debbie, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but I've been following your
Years.
channel for a long time as well. And I've seen some people go after you viciously, and you know, it's been very, the YouTube streets sometimes are not
Oh yeah.
friendly. There's a lot of clicking off, and
Especially
you
the
know, there's a
females.
lot of I don't know what the purpose of that's for, but
It's like middle school, you know. I literally will go into a chat and there will be some ladies in there and they'll start, you know, making fun of me. and they'll say, "Oh, she doesn't sit with us. She doesn't even go here." It's like, are you serious? Are you 12?
Yes, I
And
am.
the rumors that have been spread around about me, and I mean, I admit I'm not the best at explaining myself and showing things and proving myself and all that, but that's the trap that they want you to fall into. I have learned, if you get accused of something, just say "F you, I don't owe you shit," and just walk away. That's literally what I learned out of all of this. I don't care
But
what
isn't
anybody
there
says.
a whole other genre on? It's not even true crime. It's called something else, right?
Crama.
Okay.
Drama, which
Yeah.
is true crime with drama. And I mean, I like some drama. There's some drama channels that I follow that are hilarious, but I like the
Yeah.
ones that are more comedic and, they don't go real life and they're not vicious. They just pick on each other and they go back and forth and nobody's
Yeah.
really, really ugly. The really, really ugly ones, I could name a couple.
Man, I walked
go there.
into one of those chats one time, or actually went into one, and I was like, "Where the hell am I?" Like, they were all going off on something, and I was like, "What kind of channel is this?" I was new to the channels and stuff, and I thought all channels were true crime. I was naive back then, and
Yeah.
they were
Same.
talking about people. They were calling them names. They were doing this, that, and the other. This person's a liar, and this person does this, and this does that. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
You're not in Kansas anymore.
what
Oh,
the
for
heck?
real.
I'm like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this place. This is not for me.
Yeah. It's kind of like when they see somebody come along who has a lot of knowledge and common sense and isn't going to go along with, the insane stuff out there. They don't like you. They just don't like you
Right.
because you're going to question the BS that they're putting out. And there's some of those channels though that, aren't, super, super factual and boring like my channel, honestly. I still like them as people. I just think they're wrong. I don't call
Right.
them out because they're still good people,
Right.
Right.
But the ones that are really grifting on cases and things and scamming people, it's not right. So what they'll do is they'll come after you and accuse you of doing the same thing that they're actually doing themselves.
Mhm.
Isn't that how it goes? You spot it, you got it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. You smelt it, you dealt it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there a name for that 12 gauge when people do that? Because that is a kind of a common thing. You kind of attack the very thing that you are.
It's
Oh.
called low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a name for it. Oh my goodness. Projecting.
Gaslighting.
Projecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's like people that say, "Well, I don't like depressed people," but they're always depressed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's about seeing something in somebody else that you don't like in yourself, so you're going to call it out all day long. Yeah, it's
Right.
called projecting. You're right.
12 gauge. Are you interested in what Crime Sleuthen's theory of what occurred that night in Idaho in that house would be?
I don't
If
think
she's
I've
willing
ever
to
heard
share.
it. Debbie, do you want to do a short synopsis of what your belief is that happened at
Well, I mean,
1122 King Road?
well, of course, I am completely against wrongful convictions. I don't like that, so I don't call somebody guilty. But I mean, it's kind of obvious, kind of like with Stephen Stearns. They're guilty, but
Right.
now we just get away for the trial. I think it went down just like the PCA kind of explained it without all the details. I believe that he circled around working up his nerve until he finally got his nerve and went in the back door. I believe Maddie was the target. I believe he went straight to Maddie, was not expecting Kaylee there. And then all that happened. He came down. I think he ran into Xana, chased her back to her room, did what he did there, and left back out the back door. I really think that Xana and Ethan would still be here if she hadn't come out to the kitchen. I think that's what happened.
So you think that they got caught off, like, they got caught off guard and they became collateral damage type
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah, I really do. I don't think Kaylee was ever going to be a target either. I think he'd been watching him and stalking him for quite a while, for months, and
Do you think it was
you know,
Maddie's window? I've often like called Maddie's window like a drive-in movie theater window for a pervert or a stalker. You just park in the back parking lot, and you have this widescreen rectangular screen of what's going on. And if you're the type
yeah,
that sees something very compelling to you that you can't get out
right.
of your mind, you probably show up the next night, probably get to learn a pattern of like, wow, this is what goes on in this room, in this house. This is when they go to bed. This is.
Well, to be fair, and also, I mean, you can in 2022, you can stalk somebody without them ever knowing you're stalking them.
Right.
You can survey somebody without them even having a clue that you're watching them. I mean, I don't know if y'all have ever seen that docu or that series. It's fiction, but it's called You on Netflix.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
You know, in the very opening credits of the episode one, he walked by her window. She has no clue he's watching her. He's standing by a tree. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I know it's a movie, but you tell me that stuff doesn't go on more than people realize. I
Oh, and
mean,
you don't even have to go to somebody's house to stalk them. Right now I know a YouTuber who's stalking another YouTuber virtually.
I am not. I'm playing with my dog. What are you talking about?
hush you, creeper. Jeff has a lot of new
It's
nicknames lately.
Tuesday. It's
Creeper,
Tuesday,
drug
Jeff.
dealer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that goes on, especially social media. These young kids, they don't know. You're supposed to lock down, your location for one thing.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be showing their location, and all their
Well,
socials were public. Within the first couple of days, a whole bunch of us got screenshots, of
I mean, I
all their
believe
socials.
also the older generation, if you happen to have your location on, if somebody is watching you and they are brave enough to go to where you're at, they better be met with some resistance. Wouldn't you
Yeah,
agree? I mean, the
absolutely.
younger generation, they feel like, they're invincible, that nothing can hurt them. They share their lives on social media. You find out so much. I mean, look at us as creators. I'm sure you've looked over tons and tons of videos and photographs, and you zoomed in and you've looked around, and
Hmm.
we've done what a potential predator would do. Same thing.
Exactly. And believe me, y'all, first thing I did after, getting into this YouTube true crime was get my butt on Google and blur my house. My house is blurred. Even if somebody did pull me up, they can't see my home.
Right.
We should all do that.
My house is blurred too, but that's just the paint that I used. It's a blur paint. It just looks blurred
I
from the
mean,
street.
just think if somebody was in the chat and was infatuated with one of us. You're not on camera, but let's say Jeff or I had an admirer stalker. They would be looking at our background to see if there was something that they could see to
Hmm.
identify where we're
Yep.
at.
Yep.
Great. Give
Like
them
what?
ideas, 12 gauge. Give 'em
Well,
ideas.
Oh,
here's the mistake I made. Here's how I got doxxed via YouTube. Okay, on YouTube, I've never shared my information. I've only ever said that my name is Debbie and I live in Oklahoma. That is not close enough. There's a million Debbies in Oklahoma.
right.
So, well, somebody took my old profile picture that I used to have and reversed image searched it on Google. That brought up my old LinkedIn that had my last name. Then they took that name and took it over to Facebook, and there's all my stuff.
Oh
And
Hmm.
my
I
god.
didn't know better. I did not know better, y'all. Don't use a picture that's associated with any other social media account because they'll find you.
Yeah, and it's
I,
easy to do. I mean, how many times do we pull up documents from our emails and we forget our real names on the email? I've been reading things from my personal
Uh-huh.
stuff,
Right.
my real
Right.
name's in there. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
right. Right. What about that? You remember the
Exactly.
when that Elantra that was wrecked in Oregon. And
Yeah.
I remember, I felt like we were doing a bit of sleuthing on Mommy Rambling's blog YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
And there was a video of that car parked, like shots of the car, and there was a woman that was filming it with you could hear her talking with her friend as they were filming that car. And it was kind of through some sleuthing, and I didn't even have Facebook at the time. I canceled my Facebook, but I reinstated it, got it going, so that I could try and look her up and try and find her and find out who that was shooting the camera. She ended up answering a messenger, Facebook Messenger message I sent. I said, "Hey, we're talking about this. I think that's you that's shooting the shots of the car." And we were in the live stream maybe about a half an hour, and all of a sudden I get a message pop up. Long story short, she ended up coming on the live stream talking to us about the car. And she said, "If you want, I'll go drive down and look, show you the car with my camera." And I remember at the time thinking, like, this could be a scam. Like, they could have video of a car from a month ago, and we're buying it. We're like suckers that we're buying this as actual current footage. So even when she was driving down there, this is like around midnight, driving down there to go look at the wrecked car, I asked her, I said, "Now, I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I said it would help me if you could turn your camera and point it at yourself and hold up 3 fingers. I figured there's no way, if this is a recording that we're watching, that's going to happen." She turned the camera around, held up 3 fingers, and I said, "Okay, all right, I'm a believer." And then she went and, went up to the car and looked in the window,
Right.
looked around. The rear view mirror was
What
off,
was her
and
name?
it was out. Jen. I don't know if I could tell you the last name. I put it in the private chat.
Did it start with an
I
S?
still see messages from her. Huh?
Did it start with an S?
The last name?
Yeah.
No, it was
I
an
think
M.
that was just so crazy. And to think, looking back, they already knew who they were looking for at that time. They already knew exactly who they were onto at that time.
Yeah, that was an interesting live stream because she was like I said, she went down there at midnight. She parked like a block away and walked to it. And I remember, like, it's a bad neighborhood. It's very dark, and it's like, I'm thinking, man, have we just asked this woman to go out so where she's going to get mugged on live stream? But I said, "Why'd you park so far away?" And she said,
It's just
"Well,
crazy how quickly they debunked that car. As quick as they found it, they were just like, no, this isn't the right car.
Yeah. Apparently, it was like a person on their way to work or something. It was an impact at the T intersection there. Yeah, this person, Jen, she also said, I think her husband was a police officer. I'm not. Her husband is. And she said that that area was the type of place where cars would sit there for days and days and days before they'd eventually get around to picking them up. So it wasn't like unusual to see a wrecked car just sitting off to the side like that. But
yeah, I remember thinking, "Oh, that's it. That's got to be it."
Right.
Do you
Right.
remember spending
Yeah,
hours and
exactly.
hours perusing around Moscow, Idaho on Google Maps looking
Yep.
for white cars?
Yeah. Did you find the one that was across from the school that was about 3 blocks down from Jack D's parents' house? And there was a guy sitting in the car and his face was blurred. And then you come to find out that Jack D's parents, that they both worked at that school. And you're like, that's kind of weird. There's an Elantra with a guy sitting in it directly across the street from the school. What is he waiting for there?
Wasn't it so creepy? The news, I think it was the news just on the 14th of November, and you could see a white car driving along Willenta Drive up behind the news
Behind
reporter.
the KTVB
I was like,
reporter.
whoa.
Yeah, we did a video on that.
Yeah, that's on my channel. I've got 3 different zoom ins of so you can see it up close and far away.
Yeah, that was creepy.
That's what I forgot to ask Toes about, though. Toes was talking about the Stacy Chapin. 2 a.m. is a dark hour. The first thing that comes to mind with that is that video of her saying that was posted on King 5 Seattle YouTube channel on November 15th. Which and I don't know if it was posted at that time live, that's when it happened, or if it was recorded on the 14th and then posted on the 15th. I just don't know. But it just seems to me like to take what she's saying there as knowing a lot. I mean, this was just 2 days after the thing happened. So how much did
Right.
she actually know on November 15th? Much did anybody know? Um,
Exactly. Remember the
so
timeline at that time?
that's why I kept, what's that? What was it then? Yeah.
Okay,
I
this is
believe
what
it was 1 to 3 a.m., something like that is what they thought, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Heather
So
says.
I
I
think
think
that's why
it's
she
because
hit right in the middle too.
the last person to speak with Aaron or Ethan spoke to them a little after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
That
And
makes
then the
sense.
girls
Yeah.
were doing texting and stuff around that time.
Yeah, I remember
They
it
didn't go
went
that
from
route
1 to
back.
3. It went from 1 to 3, and then 2 to 3, and then based
2
on
to
the
4 or
download,
something like that.
yeah, then based on the downloads of the surviving roommate's phones, it went from 4 to 420 something. I don't
Right.
know. I did a countdown, and I sat there and I watched it for 15 minutes, and that's a long time. It may not seem like a long time, but when you're sitting there watching something,
Hmm.
imagine doing something
Oh
while that
yeah.
while that clock is
Have you ever
ticking
gotten a
down.
phone call, ladies, have you ever gotten a phone call from your mother-in-law, you know, "Hey, we're coming by, we'll be there in about 10, 15 minutes." And do you know how
Hmm.
much house cleaning you can get done in 10 minutes?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's when I do
yeah.
my best house cleaning.
Or
Somebody's
like
coming
before,
over.
I used to play a lot of Call of Duty, and before the game starts, there's all that animation stuff as the game's loading, and I'm like, I'm going out to the kitchen, I'm making a sandwich, I got a drink, I'm back. Oh, it's still going. I thought surely the game would have started by now. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
our
Right.
conception,
yeah.
our conception of time is like I mean, for 20 years I made 30-second political commercials, and every now and then we'd have to make 60-second or a couple minute, 2 minute, more documentary. Like those things seem to last forever, and they take forever to make. And when you hit play and watch them, it's like, gosh, a 60-second ad is a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
it is. Even when I think we're just so used to not having to wait for anything, you know. We all buy premium for YouTube now because we can't even wait that 5 seconds to hit skip
Yeah.
ad, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, I remember a few years ago, Netflix had made a change where you didn't have to skip the intro for each new episode. Instead, they had it where you could turn it on at the beginning of that season if you wanted to watch the intro each time. I really
Oh
wish they would
wow.
bring that back. I
Mm,
loved it. I could binge watch, you know, the whole season of something and not ever have to touch my remote.
right.
And I love that.
I can't wait till this trial happens and all the evidence finally comes out. I mean, I'm sure that I'm not excited to hear all the gory details, but just to set some things,
Right.
to put some fires out, to say, okay, well, this definitely isn't correct, or this definitely isn't correct, but just to know that they did their job correctly and they got the right person, whoever,
Exactly.
you know, if it's not Brian, that scares me more than anything because that means that the people who did this, either the person or person that did this, is still out there. You
Yeah,
know?
I don't see it. I don't, if they were
Well,
going
I'm not
to, I know
saying
there's
I'm
this
not
big
saying I
grand
see it, but
conspiracy thing about framing Brian Koberger. Why wouldn't they have just framed the other guy that, you know, that would have
well,
been a perfect one to
I'm
frame.
not saying I'm not saying I'm not
Kopaka.
saying that I'm
Yeah.
on that side either or the other side. I'm just saying that all this time with all the money and all the time and all the waiting, if it's not him, then this has been a waste of almost 3 years. You get
What
what
do you
I'm saying?
guys What do you guys think that if Bill Thompson and the prosecution have what they have, they feel strongly enough to go for the death penalty? How much of that information that they have do you feel? Because I try to imagine Ann Taylor with the same information. Um, how do you think she's looking at things. I mean, do you think that? Because I mean, I think she's painted as like, oh, she believes he's completely innocent. But if she's got the same information as looking at it, surely
Right.
she must be like trying to find the loophole, even if you got to go back
Exactly.
to the 1800s for case law to find it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be snarky. I should be just presenting this as,
Oh
you
no,
know, I don't mean to.
that was a big deal when she did that. I was like, 1789. Come on.
But it makes me
Yeah.
wonder if like if she's looking at the same information. It also makes me wonder too how people will react. Those that really think that she's telling the absolute truth and is correct when she says he's completely innocent. When they come to find out that there are things that she knew that when you hear about them you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's sure does look like it's him now.
Right.
How are you going to get around that?"
Well,
Well, see,
if you were a defense attorney, wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you want your client to have confidence in you? You know, like you're not going to tell them, "Hey, you're screwed. Good luck."
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless he would have, confessed to her in private, which she would not be able to reveal either.
Right.
I would
Th-
imagine
that
he hasn't confessed. If he did it, if it's true he did
I
it,
wouldn't think so
I would
either.
think he wouldn't. That he's gonna, you know,
Well,
that
she
he
keeps
wouldn't tell
stalling
her.
it for a reason. How come? I mean, gosh, I'm getting tired. I can't think. He requested that he go against the speedy trial. So they've been stalling all this time for what? What is it that they're preparing for that is so big that a speedy trial would not have proven his innocence? Why take it the long route? Why not go the short route? If you're truly innocent, why not take the short route?
I know I would
Even
take the short route. I'd be like, "Hey,
yeah,
you
me
think
too.
I did this? Prove it right now, today. I'll meet you at court tomorrow." You know what I mean? Let's
Right,
go.
right.
I'm
Even
not.
even in the most
Uh,
recent hearing, when Bill says, you know, we could do May, and Anne is like, we'd rather do September. I felt like that was an opportunity to sound pretty confident that this guy's innocent, and it's like May, you know, I'll do one better. April, how about April? You know, but it went the opposite of like because it almost has the feeling to me like it's like well the further this gets pushed back the better chance that people are going to forget what they saw. The witnesses are going to forget things. People in the public are going to forget about the case. Um, you
yeah,
know,
Heather's right. The cast report that they did that was just a draft.
okay, come here.
Yeah.
That'd be worthless in court. I would think
Yep.
by now they've probably got the full one.
You'd hope so.
I believe that they were talking about at the last hearing that, they pretty much had everything
Right, and I would think that if there are
turned
things
over.
that she didn't get, I think that just means that's stuff that they had no intention of using. That's all. That's all that means to me
True.
is that
Yes.
they don't need that. They don't plan on talking about that. You want it, but and you think would help you, but we don't need it, and we let the deadline go past, and we don't need that. We have these other things that we feel strongly about, and I
Well, we're
also
still going to
feel
go through motions of suppression. Those are coming up, so they're going to still kick back a lot of stuff, and we're going to
yeah.
hear about that if they don't seal it.
Well, at this
You
point,
know?
if there's anything that they haven't turned over, isn't that they can't use it? Isn't that how it works?
Yes.
They
So
have to
what
meet
what
the
would you be
deadline.
asking
Yeah.
for?
After the deadline,
Yep.
it's my
It's out.
understanding that they can't. They
hmm
can't use it.
So it seems to me
They're-
that she wouldn't be asking for it because if she asked it, they gave it to her. Then it seems like it would make okay. That is now something you can talk about. You know, it seems
Yeah.
like would be better that you didn't get it to us in time. Therefore, you can't talk about it. You can't use that, and you can only use what you have given
Well, I
to
mean,
us.
the suppression stuff is coming up, and that's whenever probably a lot of this evidence is they're going to fight for it to either stay or be suppressed and not even be heard.
Yeah, I'm speaking
Yeah,
on stuff I don't really.
exactly.
I'm
But
really
the
stuff I didn't.
exculpatory evidence, what we've heard is it's usually at the end of the trial whenever the exculpatory evidence gets presented, and that's whenever it gets turned the court decision
What
around.
One thing that's always kind of confused me and frustrated me is, yeah, I think Judge was a very sweet guy. You know, um, he's not like a jerk or anything in court, but he seemed so lacking in some of the basic knowledge that he should have had as a judge, because long before they're judge in that role, they're lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're
Yeah.
lawyers for a long time. They should know this stuff. They have to keep up their bar. They have this very special, you know how they have the bar association? They have the bar association for the judges as well. They have to keep up all the licensing stuff and, you know, their continuing education, just like a lawyer, only it's even higher for judges. So
Right.
there was so many things that, you know, he would have to ask the attorneys about.
But he
And I was
did.
like, "Are you serious?" He would
did.
ask them, you know, can I do that? You know, can we do
Yeah.
this? I'm like, you're the
think from
judge.
his-
Hello.
You think from his perspective, he felt like it was just 3 lawyers in a room and not 2 lawyers and a judge? You know, maybe he still.
That's what it
Maybe.
looked like.
Yeah,
That's
he
what it
seemed-
looked like.
Right. And this judge, ooh, Judge Hipple, I
Yeah,
put
this
out a
judge is
video
ready
that
to go.
he,
This guy,
he's
this judge
ready
is
to
ready
go.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, you know,
I'm
I
all
think
for
that Ann
the
Taylor,
trial being in May.
I think they made a mistake asking for a change of venue
Yeah.
I agree
for
with you on
Brian.
that one.
Huge mistake.
I
Do
agree
you
with
think
you.
do you think there's any chance, this is a long shot here and just speculation, but do you think there's any chance that it was more Brian pushing for the change of venue than Ann?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So now Ann's probably like, see, I told you. Look at what we got to deal with now. I had
Uh-huh.
Judge in the palm of my hand. I could get anything I wanted.
Exactly.
I mean, he
And she
told her there's
was.
24 hours in a day. I don't see why, you know, you can't get it
Right.
done.
Yeah, when a judge is suggesting you don't need to sleep, let's get this done.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably been like, man, I'm not gonna let like Judd did and go on and on and on.
He's like,
I don't
"Ah,
Yeah,
bullshit."
he
bullshit."
said, I know you're used to playing things kind of fast and loose and or slow or whatever he said. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to get these things rolling. There's going to be tight deadlines. And
Yeah,
I don't even think we've really ever fully addressed and finalized even just the alibi situation, where Judge kept pushing that out. And the Idaho statute on when they're supposed to give their alibi is a strict, it was either 10 days or 14 days. It's a very strict black and white deadline. Yet Judge kept giving them more and more time. And then she goes and sticks that little alibi that wasn't within another document that's not even titled the alibi document.
Hmm.
Just, I didn't like that at all. So they could get away with not really calling it an alibi, but referring to it as an alibi. She's
I
smart.
believe that they're still
smart.
gonna fight. I still believe that they're gonna fight that alibi. I don't know why I believe that, but you know, I believe that if there's not any evidence that can prove that he actually was on that road at that time, he's
Yeah.
gonna have to come up with something better.
Well, see, he Heather's right. He doesn't have to say a word. He doesn't have to provide anything.
Right.
He can just
But
sit there
didn't
and
they
say,
say
"Prove it."
if they wanted to cross examine witnesses, he'd have to come up with an alibi, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what
Yep.
that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. So in order for them to cross examine any witnesses, he has to have an alibi.
If they're using it as a defense, correct. Yeah. So that's why the alibi was so kind of watered down in this case, because it kind of left the door open, and the door is still open as to what she's going to be able to do with alibi or questioning. I think the way she said it was she was going to cross-examine certain witnesses. Their alibi would be corroborated via cross-examination of witnesses and their own expert witnesses. So, but she's not supposed to be able to do that. They're supposed to just lay out their alibi and be done if they're going to use it as a defense. But she's trying to wiggle that in there. I mean, I give Ann Taylor a ton of credit. Anybody arrested for anything, that's your girl right there. That's who you would want. That's who I would want for myself or any loved one. She is good. She is very, very good. But I really think they made a huge mistake with the change of venue. This
Yeah,
is
how much
not
do you
going to go
think
well for
she's-
Brian now at all.
How
Yeah.
much do you think she's good in front of Judge versus, and I mean, we don't have no way of telling yet, but how good she'll be in front of Judge Hippler?
Right.
I wonder.
Did
how
you
good
notice
that
her
she will
sitting
be.
We
there?
see you. Quit typing in caps.
you see her kind of sitting there, kind of smiling and batting her eyes and trying to do the
Hey.
whole thing, that she
Yeah,
was doing.
Heather,
yeah.
Heather, I got another keyboard for you if you need. If your caps lock is
Oh.
stuck, it's right here. Caps lock.
Yeah, you're right, Debbie. You're right. She was trying to pull that same stuff she would do with Judge.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
say
it's
say
gonna
you know
work.
what I was making the stupid joke about the keyboard. I missed what you actually said. What was Ann doing?
If you can show via evidence that you're innocent, no need for any alibi.
Right.
Okay.
I do think it is in Koberger's
We appreciate you.
it's in his
Thank you,
best
Heather.
interest if she can show that. I know she doesn't have to show that he's, they don't have to say a thing like Heather was saying, but I think it's in his best interest for her to be able to present that, yes, there's no way he was there, no way he did this. To not do that at all, if I was a jury member and I'd be like, okay, what do you have to say for yourself? This is pretty damning stuff here. Your silence on it all is,
Maybe he'll pull a Jody Arias.
what's that? Oh, where he starts going on TV
Yeah.
interviews and possible. Yeah.
Did you ever watch that trial, Debbie? Jody,
A
Jody
little bit.
Arias case.
Not very much of it, honestly.
I watched that the other day. That lady was a manipulator. She was telling the investigator, "Well, that could be me. That kind of looks like me." And she would just tell him, "No, I wasn't there." And then he's like, "Come on, I have pictures here." And she's like, "Let me see them." And he shows her the picture. Well, that kind of looks like me, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
And then she does that headstand in the interrogation room while she's alone waiting for the officer to come back. I mean,
while singing, Heather said she was singing.
yeah, singing.
What?
She's
She
like, I'm
sounds like
saying
that. She
was
sounds
she
like
singing
Taylor
like a
Business.
church hymn or something. I think she was singing a church song. Or something.
That's
I can't
insane.
remember.
I mean,
It's-
she's a mess.
It seems like the further we get, from the crime, the more people forget, along the way. And now with the, change of venue, brand new everything, you have to struggle just to reach back and think, okay, what did the PCA say about this? Because it's getting further and further away, And I worry about witnesses and things.
Yeah.
At this point, go ahead, Jeff.
That's the bad part about the Sebastian Rogers case is I think there is so little to talk about that it just really doesn't go anywhere. Maybe that's why everybody goes after each other and starts having those kind of conversations. But
Right.
in this, you've got three different states if you include Pennsylvania. You've got the Elantra, the knife sheath, the what did you say to Adam, the grub truck. The Banfield, you've got all this stuff to consider. Whereas with like Sebastian Rogers, it's like, well, there's one video and are those flashlights, and
Which turned out to be pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, I don't understand with that case why they didn't release that camera footage unaltered.
Because it's
no zoom,
because Nick is a drama queen as well. I've been digging on him since that came out, that he had actually released. Yeah, he's the one. That was his phone. That was his recording. And he released it.
That camera?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he could see the whole thing, but what he did was he zoomed in on it with his phone.
So why didn't the owner of that footage release it?
Well, they did to him. He has the whole thing.
Oh, so he could very well just put the files up unaltered. Because see, the thing is like we were talking about different. Did we talk about difference mode? I don't think we ever got into that 12 gauge with the difference mode, but I mean, difference mode only works on a camera shot that doesn't move and is stationary, so that you can see all the things that are moving in the shot. But when you're provided a camera shot that has got zoom on it, then it kind of kills that whole possibility of doing that. But also too, just lining up Like if you, especially if they were able to give us just the lockdown shot at night with the lights, and then the same lockdown shot during the day, so you can see what you can locate. You can overlay the two and see, like, okay, the light is actually right at the corner of the house. You know, I don't understand why that's not, why nobody is like, get that. That should be easy to to do.
Right. But that was part of it, because if you remember, he released 3 videos. I don't know if you've seen the links. I can pull them up. There were actually 3 videos that he put out. He put out the first one.
Okay, come here.
There was 3 videos. He put out number 1, and then number 3, and then number 2. He had them out of order.
Yeah.
He put them out, and it gave the illusion that things were happening that weren't there, with him zooming in and out, moving his camera around his phone, and zooming in and out made it look like some of those lights were moving that weren't. And if you look at the actual angle of the camera, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Gray Hughes was right. He was right. It's just a trash truck on the now the part that Gray, in my opinion only, was incorrect about was he put the trash truck on the street up on the hill, and I think it was the cul-de-sac behind the houses. If you look at Google Maps from above, you can see there's a cul-de-sac right there where the lights was at.
You mean
He thought
Gray
it was
Hughes
up there
covered
in the-
that case also?
Yeah, he's all over the place, but
Yeah, I didn't know.
yeah, I can't make up my mind about Gray Hughes. He's like, sometimes I like him. I like some of his, very analytical stuff. I like watching him do things and make things, and he's really good when it comes to creating the 3D buildings and things like that.
Yeah,
I
12
like
gauge.
that.
You got to
I'm
look
very-
at his. You got to look at his Jodi Arias stuff, because that's where I first discovered him with his 3D models of the Jodi Arias crime scene and everything.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with Gray Hughes, and I was like, oh man, this is
My
awesome.
first experience was with him putting out misinformation on the Kylie Rodney case, and it made me so mad I went and called him out in his chat, which is a huge no-no. Don't do that.
And was he accused of ripping off subscribers on the Kylie Rodney case? Because there's a person that keeps accusing me of that, and I think they've got me mixed up with somebody else, because I never did a single thing.
Well,
on
yeah,
Kylie
that's what he
Rodney.
does. He goes over to like Grizzlies or somebody else, and he'll super chat and then talk about his channel, and then, oh, I'm going live in a little while. He'll drop hints about going live and things, and yeah.
I bet that's what that person has me confused with Gray Hughes.
Oh, wow.
That's got to be it. Which is fine. I mean, I think he
Yeah.
does. I do
Yeah,
think he
maybe
does great
that's
work,
why you're
too.
getting so much hate.
You know
Well,
what?
I have
possible.
some
It's possible.
I have some graphics and video experience as well, and I like to play around with that too. And I had done an overlay in the Kylie Rodney case with the footage from the fire cams, and I had it lined up perfectly with the daytime and nighttime overlay. You could see everything right, and I had the timing correct, the speed of the vehicle correct. Well, Gray Hughes went out and put a video where her car was just barreling down there and crashing into the water, for dramatic effect, when she was crawling down that little road and stopped for 8 seconds at the T, turned left, and then kind of drifted into the water. It's pretty slow.
There's your next case, 12 gauge after.
And he
Idaho
was
is done.
furious when I tagged him in my video and was like, "You're wrong. You're making it look like she was speeding," and blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget this. He cussed me out on his live, called me a nutter, just like he does everybody. And then 2 days later, I shit you not, I'm so sorry for language. He put out a new video of, it was the same video, but he slowed it down quite a bit. And he was like, "Oh, so I see that the vehicle was going slower." Gave me no credit, no apology, no nothing. And I've never spoken to him since.
I was in one of his lives, and he was showing his overlay of the Elantra, and I did one as well. But when he did his, it faded up, faded down, faded up, faded down, with no time in between where you just were able to saturate the original picture. It just was boom, boom, boom. You never got to see the original shot, just unaltered. And I texted. I said, maybe if you left like 2 seconds in between when you're fading it in and fading it out.
Oh,
And he was,
what
and
do you say?
Hey,
man,
guys.
oh man, he.
Hey, Cheryl.
No, you
Hey,
can't.
Bullets and Bling. Hey,
Yeah,
I
you don't
agree
tell him
with
how
you,
to do his
Cheryl.
stuff.
That would be something to do. Do a documentary at the end of the case. That way, the outcome and put everything together. But there's been so much stuff that's
Yeah, I
been
agree.
scrubbed. It'd be hard to, to go from beginning to end. There is a lot of information on this case, but a lot of it has been scrubbed. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it.
Yeah,
And it
that's
makes
true.
you sound crazy if you've been following this case for a long time, like we all have. Makes us sound like liars or like we're crazy because people are like, no, you got that off Reddit or you got that off 4chan. No, I saw it on a newscast. I saw it on this. I saw Brian Hinton do it, whatever.
So how do you guys feel about victims' families? And how we as creators can, handle them appropriately, support them appropriately, put out content that I try to put out stuff that if a family member ever came across it, it's not gonna hurt them or make them cry or piss them off. That's kind of my goal when I put out stuff.
Well, my goal is to do the same. Do I always accomplish it? No. My channel is a
Right.
lot
Yeah.
more violent and a lot more abrasive with stuff, but it has a lot of teaching moments as well. So,
Yes, I've
I
noticed
mean,
that. Yeah.
if they do come onto my channel and they do see certain things, they will understand the concept of what I'm trying to get across is to stop from creating false narratives and to just stick to the facts. I would hope that they
Right.
would be able to see that.
Facts are so boring. It's taken me 2 years to get to 8,000 subs because my channel, I don't have anything super exciting. I don't have long lives and go over real detail. Oh God, does this vehicle have a moonroof? What's in this reflection? That kind of stuff that people do. I suck at that.
Well, you need to have a celebrity like Jeff H on your panel because tonight I've been able to keep 30 plus people in this whole chat for these 2 hours, almost
Yay.
3 hours. So Jeff
You
H
know
is a celebrity.
that's
Because
because
Jeff
Brian's
H is
sleuthing.
the
That's not me.
celebrity of the moment, and you
He's
just
a
have Jeff
legend
on
in
your
his own
panel. And
mind.
yeah, so next time you go live, Debbie, just
I'll be there.
just
No problem.
call out his name 3 times, and he'll be Jeff H.
Oh, that's dude, that's the joke about me from the girls on here that don't like me. Don't say her name 3 times, she'll pop up. And I
She'll pop
will,
up.
because I got friends all over the place that tell me
Well, we
what's
don't have
going on.
we don't have those kind of chats. So if they pop in, they won't be here very long if they start a lot of drama because this is a safe place for people to land. This is a
Awesome.
good chat. So I appreciate you being on the panel. I'm gonna have to call it a night, guys. 3 hours is pretty substantial, even though we did get a lot accomplished. I
Goes by
believe. in these
fast.
2 hours. Yeah.
Hey, I didn't know you were going live. Jeff, I'll email you my cell phone number and you can keep in touch and let me know when y'all are going to do it again. I can actually be prepared, instead of just trying to go by memory because I'm not that great at that. But
I'm very spontaneous. I'll just decide to go live and just crank it up.
And I appreciate you sharing what you shared because it's sometimes it's nice to hear theories on this case and ideas on this case that are similar to yours. I mean, I know earlier we were talking about how I like to go and talk to have differences of opinion and to have conversations, but sometimes it's also nice to know that you're not all alone in this. That am I the only one that's thinking? I mean, I read the PCA again. How do they get that out of the PCA? It's like
I know.
It's like, am I the only one thinking this? And so
Right.
it is kind of nice to think, okay, maybe I'm not nuts and not so far off. It's just good. I mean, it's just like a good salad bar. You got all kinds of things to choose from,
Right.
not just what the one thing is. So
Exactly. I'm learning, as I'm going along to not be so rigid in my thinking. Not because I know that I've probably come across as a little Miss Know-It-All, and I'm trying to work on that because I don't know it all.
I don't know what it is about that females are treated so badly in so many channels.
They are, and you men get on here and you bat your eyelashes a couple of times, and all the women come running. We don't get that kind of attention ever.
Yeah.
We just don't, because it's
I
mostly
thought y'all
women.
were supposed to build each other up on these channels and stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely,
I mean, I
absolutely.
thought that was the goal of
It should
2024
be.
was to empower each other rather than continue to tear each
It
other down.
is. It is not like that. There are just a few little cliques now. Everybody else is kind of on their own little islands right now. So, and that's okay with me.
What is that? What is that song? It's like, oh my gosh, look at her. She looks like one of those rap girls' girlfriends.
Oh
That
my God,
that
Becky,
disdain for
look at her butt.
Yeah.
that disdain for each other.
Yeah.
Females to females. Like, gosh, I don't seem to see that same kind of thing with males as much. I mean, we go at it and we have disagreements in battle, of course, but not the same. Like, oh, look at this other. There's another guy here. We got to tear him down, and
Yeah.
and it
I
gets just.
know.
I heard
so
that
nasty.
before we go. I heard that too. I saw that from somebody's thumbnail. I think it was Drunk Turkey that they were talking about. Ann's no longer the attorney.
No, he
What?
was talking about that being a possibility. I watched his live.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about it being a possibility. They had a closed meeting today at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and there is a sealed order following that hearing, but we don't see what it is. I have no idea what it is.
Okay.
So we don't know exactly what was ordered, but he's right. It was probably money related, funding of the defense with the new state program that just came out there. They've changed everything around how public defenders get paid starting on the 1st of this month. So there's that kind of change is happening too, but I don't believe at all that Ann would be off the case. I mean, we're talking about a September 2027 trial if that were to happen.
Yeah.
They're way too
I
She's
mean,
still
far.
considered a public
There's
defender.
a
Isn't she
there's a
part of
good
law
chance
firm
that
now?
there's a good chance that she could say, "Hey, you're not going to pay me what I'm making now. I'm not going to take this case."
You
I
think
mean,
so?
there's always that
I guess so.
possibility,
I always
Daniel
assume this case
clickbait.
is making her some pretty big money.
Come on, Heather. Come on, Heather. Let's play nice.
Well, yeah, maybe she didn't get the contract. I mean, there is a new order, but it's sealed. So I'm like, why would it? If there was a new attorney, it would be listed on there or some
Right.
kind of. No idea what it's about.
I take
Maybe
heart to
they
have.
said 25
I take
extra
heart to that,
years.
Heather, because somebody accused me of having clickbait the other day because I put something about an interview, and they're like, "You said that the parents were having an interview." That's not what I said. Did you read the caption? It just
Oh yeah, I remember all kinds of people were talking mad shit about you over that. And I'm like, can you not hello, reading 101, that's not what it said. People
it's
just
kind of like playing
Yeah.
on words, you say one thing and people see little bitty other words in between the words to make it mean what they want it to mean. It's
kind of like
cool.
touch DNA.
Yeah. Yeah, or that statement that drives Jeff crazy. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that what?
Instead of I'm
Isn't
going
that-
to help you.
Don't worry.
I'm
Don't
going
worry,
to
I'm
help
here to
you.
help.
Yeah, because I what I heard somebody just recently say that. Oh, I think it was Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace said, yeah, and it says I'm here to help you, and it's like I think it just instantly the way it's worded. I think even somebody described it as like it sounds like something in the realm of law enforcement or like an authority. It's like, well, yeah, maybe because you're saying it's wrong. It's not I'm here to help you. It's like I'm going to help you. Which, me personally, I think that's something that Ethan would have said to Xana if he came upon her laying on the floor, coming out of the bathroom, and like, "Why are you on the floor?" And then boom, he gets hit in the back of the head with, didn't see that guy standing there in the little closet next to the.
Oh my God.
entrance.
Okay, we got to do a part 2. You guys, maybe we can simulcast on both channels or something. I would love to have you guys on.
right,
Because she wasn't in the hallway, dude.
All right. Well, y'all have a
Yeah,
good
yeah, we
night.
should. That would be awesome.
I'm
Have
going to
a
go
good night.
back and reread some documents too and kind of study back up, especially the PCA, because everybody reads that portion of the PCA different. Everybody has a kind of a different interpretation of it, and crazy.
Yeah,
Did you hear that
12
one?
gauge and I were talking, and I know 12, you're trying to sign off, but 12 gauge and I were talking about the part where it says at 404 it can be seen driving eastbound on King Road. Clearly they mean Queen Road because King doesn't run east west. Stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen and then driving back westbound on King. Again, clearly they mean King, but they said I'm sorry, they mean Queen, but they said King. But then the third
Right.
time in the very next sentence they got it right. So these little things don't help the situation.
Right.
You know, that's but you can see even in the body cam footage I just posted, the guy on the radio, he says, okay, we're gonna go do the same thing at 1122 Queen that we did at 11227 King. It's a noise complaint there too. So they got
One more
they even got
thing.
the
One
name.
more thing about those body cams. Whenever the police are talking, I wouldn't take their verbiage or lack of verbiage or their movements or any of that stuff as meaning anything nefarious. When they say, the drill,
Right. Oh my gosh.
that would be something that's said by every police officer all over the U.S. I've had police tell me that when I was young and drinking and whatever. You know the drill. Don't act stupid.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
say it to my kids.
You know
At
what
the
we're here for.
At the McDonald's drive-through, they might as well say that. Are you going to
Exactly.
use your McDonald's app? They might as well say, you know the drill. I'm
Right.
like, no, I'm not using the app. You know the drill.
Right. So it's not like people get rounded up and say, hey, we're going to take you to a class this Saturday for 8 hours. We're going to teach you our lingo so that when we arrive to do a noise complaint, you already know what's coming.
Right. You're right.
Also,
That's
what's
too
interesting
funny.
to me, and I'll leave it last thing, I promise, but to claim that there's somebody in the front seat of that white Jeep, but when you look at the other camera, you see the headrest you see right straight through.
Yeah.
And unless it's an invisible man, there's nobody in the driver's seat of that.
So that white car that's seen in the driveway of 1122 as the police officers are walking up to it, isn't that Maddie's car? Or
Ooh.
were they
That's going way back
insinuating,
in my memory. I don't know.
or were they insinuating that was Brian waiting in that car? Because
I'm not sure.
when those two police officers are walking up Queen Road, this person says, look at the driveway. There's a white vehicle in there and there's somebody in there. Were they insinuating that was Brian in the white vehicle waiting in the driveway for the drugs to be?
Dude, I got to see that. Can you find that?
Well, I thought they were saying.
I mean,
there's
not now,
somebody in the
but-
white Jeep.
Well, that's
that is-
basically
that is-
that's the one. That's the noise complaint in August. The one where
It's
they
Heather.
Okay.
It was Heather.
it was Heather.
Heather
That's
did.
what she said.
I see the
It's
white
her in
car
the
you're
white
talking
Jeep.
about. The white car is kind of close to the curb, to the street.
Yeah.
It's not close
Yeah.
to the house. Yeah, if you look at the side window too, you can tell that's not an Elantra because the bottom edge doesn't curve upward slowly. It just goes straight to a point. So.
Well,
it's
the
not
only
an-
way to get me
think
to
it's a
leave,
Chevy.
because I'm in Oklahoma, you have to slap your knee and say, "Welp." I guess it's time to go.
Yeah.
Giddy up, y'all.
Y'all have a good night. We'll pick this up whenever we have more time to show videos and pictures and all that other stuff because that always seems to work best with Jeff. He's a visual person, and
I don't know much, but I know some things. It's
Heather
in the realm
said
of
she
that.
did it.
Uh-oh.
No, I've always
Yeah.
questioned Twizzle. Twizzle Toes tonight admitted he had a Elantra, so he's in the suspect book now.
I still take double takes when I see white Elantras.
Yeah, me too. Any color Elantra does it for me. I'm looking at the back.
Yeah.
Like, is it 2011 to 2013 or 14 to 16? 14 to 16.
Well,
Oh,
you
Heather
guys have
slapped
a
her
good
knee.
night.
Okay. Heather,
You
thank
guys
you.
have a good night. Be safe out there, and thank you so much for hopping up here, Debbie.
Thank you for
short
inviting me.
notice.
It was awesome.
No problem. No
Good times.
problem.
Good times. Thanks, 12 Gauge. Thanks, Debbie.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye. All right, guys. We've reached the end of the road here. You know what I say? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? If you can't, you need to get yourself a bigger shovel. Maestro, cue that music.